Hey, hi, it is Tuesday, May the 29th. By my calculations, that's the final Tuesday in May 2018.
Here it is.
Wow.
The Giant Bombcast, your one and only source for tracking the dates. We got a sundial in here.
We'll be back next week, which will happen 7 days from now.
That's right. Hot scoops on the progression of the calendar. There's no windows in here, though, so that sundial is kind of
can't really
useless,
do the time thing.
It turns out.
Yeah.
We need a beep. We need like a beep noise.
That sundial's right.
You guys,
twice a day.
You guys have watches
the
and everything.
sound of the tone.
Yeah. You got a cool watch face. I don't know what that is, but every time I see you look at your watch, I'm like, man,
It's the one. It's the.
looks like a movie logo.
Yeah. Like, hey, you got the Nike watch, so here's the one that has the button for running on it that you don't push.
I got a $3 watch face from Target.
Nice.
And like a $5 watch strap from Amazon.
I would have believed that watch was more expensive than that. Yeah.
Little DIY action.
Watchcast.
I'm frugal.
Let's talk about the watches that nobody can see.
Okay.
I also have a watch on. I got this one for free, and it doesn't work well.
Nice.
But
Sweet.
It's free.
Free.
So it's fine.
Does it tell the time?
Yeah.
What time you got?
I got 11:10.
All right.
It's almost time to make a wish.
11
Sounds like it works okay.
Yeah. I think if I could build my own watch face, which I think they should do for these watches, I would take
For the Apple Watch?
Yeah, I would take the time off it.
What would you put on there?
That's smart.
Other shit,
Smart.
Like
info,
what? Yeah,
data, like a better look at some
Put a
shit that's
sundial
going
on
on. Like I don't actually care what time it is.
Check your stocks.
Fun facts.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
living.
Some quotes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Quote
of the day.
Look at it and just be like,
a little daily wisdom.
nah, it's the lyrics to Dish of the Day.
That's a random Garfield comic popping up there. That fat cat.
Oh,
It's just different panels, but they're all unrelated to the same comic.
Right.
yep.
Keep
That'd be
guessing.
good. Yeah, that'd be a good one.
I'm surprised they don't let you do
Garfield
that.
randomizer.
Whatever, it's Apple.
Yeah. That's the actual
How
answer to that
surprising.
is
Apple
it's
doesn't
Apple.
give you control over something.
It's Apple. Give them another 2 years, and they'll be like, and now you can customize your own watch faces. And then everyone who has had any kind of Android thing will be like, fuck you, we've done that for years.
Yep.
And everyone else will be like, who gives a shit?
Yeah.
We can do it now on
Nobody
this
ever
other
listens to
watch,
us.
so whatever.
Indeed.
Hmm.
Well,
Hi.
we're going to E3 next week, I guess.
Are we? Is it?
Seems-
Oh, yeah. We're packing this
Yeah.
week. That's right. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
The truck is not inbound, but,
No.
but imminent,
Yeah.
let's say.
Yeah. We have a date.
The truck.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have a date with a truck.
Mhm.
Sick.
I'm going to kiss that truck on the mouth.
Oh,
I'm going to go hang out in the loading dock for a while.
Oh,
oh
yeah.
no. I don't want to do that again.
That's-
No?
I'll hang out in the loading dock if there's like another person with me, maybe.
Okay.
Okay.
It's
All right.
scary down there.
A little scary.
Yeah.
Yeah. Some of those union guys just like don't care about anything.
Yeah. I want to run afoul of those guys.
Hmm.
They have business to conduct.
They do.
That's right.
They get shit done
They have strict regulations
Fast. Yeah.
about what you can and
About-
can't
about-
do, when
yeah,
you
w-
can and can't pick up equipment.
They can do whatever they want. You, however, yeah.
If it's before 6 o'clock,
Is
hands
that,
off.
is that shit on wheels? Get the fuck out of our loading dock.
Like you guys would get straight up yelled at by union people back in the day, right?
Yeah, sort of.
At the booth?
we were building our own booth, or we were bringing all of our own stuff into and out of the booth because, in retrospect, that should have been a thing where we went to like the business and said like,
We need people to do this.
yeah, like I don't like. Why are we hauling gear? This is crazy,
Right.
But
I mean, you know, the editors and producers wore a lot
why
of
are
hats
why
back
are
then.
why are not we paying the union guys to do this?
Some say they still do.
But that was at a time when I think we were more like rah rah, the corporate interests of our corporation, hooray!
Yeah. Biggest video game website in the world.
That's something like that. Yeah. And yeah, so we loaded in our own shit and loaded it out and got one over on the union.
Unless they saw us.
Damn labor. No, I don't know. Yeah, no, they just shot a lot of dirty looks because we couldn't use the loading dock elevator or any other stuff.
That's
we
right.
We had to use like the parking garage elevator to bring stuff up and down to vans.
That LACC parking garage elevator that always smelled like pee.
Yeah.
Still does to this day.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a good reason why it smells like pee, but I won't get into that.
You can make a bathroom anywhere.
I mean, it's
It's
a long drive from Santa Anella.
Oh, it is. Yeah. That's
You can't stop for anything.
definitely, you cannot stop for nothing. So yeah, I don't know. That's that was dumb. When I look back on that now and think about the amount of time that like an editorial and production team spent loading in and out, Like, not to get all prima donna about it, but at some point I was like, yeah, you're spending all the money for this like primo booth space and all this other stuff. Like, maybe you should have paid to have the gear loaded in and out. And eventually they did change over, but there was a lot of years there where we were doing it ourselves.
Yep.
Yep. So Jan and I will be packing up all the gear.
Yeah. well, like, look at it this way though. Like, that's the actual thing though, is packing.
Yeah, packing is
because the last thing you want, like, would you want strangers to come in and pack this gear?
I don't want to bring that gear up to the fourth floor of the standard.
Right. I'll say this. Yes. I'll say this to put it in a back then context. You would be packing up the truck, and then you would also be driving the truck to LA.
Right. Oh, I know. I know.
That's how it was back then.
Yeah,
I've done that.
So,
yeah.
It's been democratized.
We'll get Frank Adams.
Yeah, that's right.
To drive the truck.
Man knows how to drive a truck.
Yeah.
Can I drive a forklift this year?
Sure.
Do you know how?
Yeah, I'm certified.
You've driven a forklift? Wow.
Yeah. It's a weird.
How often do you have to retake the certification? Like every year or something to stay certified, or is it one of those type of rackets?
You just got to play Shenmue once a year and you're good.
Nope,
yeah,
I'm out.
Actually,
like a simulator.
No, thank you.
I think at the academy that I went to, because they called it an academy.
Forklift Academy?
Forklift Academy. It's somewhere in like the Bayview area of SF.
Okay, my initial guess was going to be Richmond.
Close enough.
Yeah, somewhere around there. Yeah.
I think I have to renew every 5 years. But the best part of getting forklift certified is the graduation ceremony where they play pomp and circumstance.
And you drive the forklift.
And everyone lines up in a forklift to receive their diploma from a guy standing on a loading dock.
Do you literally drive a forklift up to get your... Oh,
yep.
God.
Yep.
See, I would have done it.
Final test.
I think they should do it pit fighter style, where you put a pallet on the forklift and you stand on the pallet and they raise it up and you throw your hands in the air and go, yeah! And then you have the diploma.
See, that's against forklift safety, so we couldn't do that. But I will say the instructor showed off some tricks before we got started learning how to operate a forklift.
Yeah.
He flipped a nickel with his forks.
Yeah.
Wow. It's pretty cool. Yeah.
I'm going to say a loading dock is a damn good pit fighter background.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Stuff goes down.
Yep. For sure.
End up.
Indeed. Well, we got a few more days before we have to get out of here.
Yeah.
What have y'all been doing in your time?
Playing some games.
Yeah?
Yeah.
What you got?
Past couple of weeks I've been just like hating games and not wanting to play anything.
Huh.
But
welcome to this video game podcast.
Yeah, I got bit by
time to work out your issues.
Blazblue.
Okay.
Cross tag battle. I had super low expectations, for this. This just seemed like a Narcissus joint that's like, hey, let's make an anime fighter and just put everybody in it. What the hell? Just throw it together.
Yeah, there's like, I watched you guys play it on UPF.
Yeah.
There's like Persona characters in there.
Yeah, we've got
some other
Persona. We've got Blazblue. We got Uniel. We got Ruby.
What?
Uniel Under Night in
is that
Birth.
RD?
Yeah, the RWBY.
Pronounce that Ruby?
I guess so.
Fuck if I know, man.
I figured out why it's that
Anime.
because the four main characters, it's the first initial of their names.
Okay.
It all works out. I don't know when you watch anime. I actually watched one of the episodes. It's pretty interesting. Anyway, this seems like more than just like a slapdash kind of like, fucking Wild West kind of
I was
game
expecting
like
it
Marvel.
to just be Blazblue, like all the Blazblue systems, the complexity of Blazblue, all that other stuff. But
it's
seem
somewhat
to have-
removed from that. They're doing some really smart stuff in terms of just like simplifying and unifying some mechanics. Like they still have layers upon layers of mechanics and meters and shit like that, but it's kind of the same between characters, so it makes it very easy to jump from one character to the other. Auto attack or auto combo stuff for days. They've got two main attack buttons, A and B. Auto combos on both of those.
Is that just becoming a thing?
Kind of,
fighting games?
For those games,
Okay.
specifically
For those.
the ones where, because if you think about it, like an auto combo is not going to be, it's not going to be optimum damage,
No,
right?
not
Compared
at
to
all.
some of the
this
other
is-
wild shit you can do in that game. So it's just like, here's a little, we're going to throw a bone to people like, hey, you land a hit, you have no idea what you're doing. You can at least keep mashing and
Yeah,
get
look
something.
cool.
It was a nice way to get into Dragon Ball FighterZ.
Right.
A little bit.
Universal DPs, like Dragon Punches. Universal overheads as well. Makes it really easy. Oh, the assists is what I really, really like.
Like when you call in another character.
Yeah, when you call in your tag, so it's a 2-on-2. So yeah, you call in your tag team partner. Usually with an assist, it's just one specific attack that they do. But in this game, it depends on which way you're holding the lever. If you're holding forward, it's a different attack. Back is a different attack, and then neutral, of course. And I'm having a great time experimenting with this system. It's super easy to jump into. It's been like rewarding and fun. I'm really impressed with what I've played of this. Like I think it's poised to do very, very well in like, the casual market.
Arxis kind of breaking through lately, it seems like.
Yeah, the Unreal characters are super fun.
Yep.
The Persona characters are super fun. I don't care about most of the Blazblue characters.
Right.
And whatever the other thing is.
That's kind of the thing is, they've got their main, titular characters. It's like, hey, generic sword dude guy. He's in there for sure.
Yeah, you get your generic sword dude guy for sure.
Yeah, lots of those.
I believe you mean Ragna the Bloodhead.
Oh, sorry. Hyde.
Yes.
Yeah.
You do not talk shit about Hyde around here.
Oh, okay. What about you from Persona?
Yeah, you's all right too.
Chie's in it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
people seem
Jeff's
excited about
Chie's
that.
in it, so whatever.
People seem to hate Yosuke though.
Fuck that guy.
Which I never knew. I guess that's
he's pretty fun to play, but whatever. Yeah, I like the roster so far. So the thing with this game is when it was announced, they're like, we're going to have a shit ton of DLC characters. You're going to pay for all of them. They've kind of walked back on some of that. And you're going to get like, one of the first packs for free or something like that. A couple of the Ruby characters are going to be free throughout.
Originally, all the anime characters were going to be pay?
They're all anime characters.
Or like all the
non-Blazblue characters.
I think even the Persona characters were,
all
I
gonna
believe
be
the roster
DLC.
was a little more tilted in favor of Blazblue, and it was going to be like,
Right.
hey, get the full Persona pack or whatever. But now they're like, oh, right, we'll put some from all of them in it.
So like Chie is just in there from the get-go.
Yeah, Chie's
That's
in there.
the right way to go.
And like all the Ruby characters, all 4 of them, they'll be free as well.
Is that just like a thing of like, we know no one would pay for this stuff?
Perhaps.
Okay.
Ruby's a super good character though. Like her buttons are fucking amazing.
I like good buttons.
Yeah. Oh my god.
See,
she's almost too good to not use. Wow. Yeah. She's a lot of fun.
They got that Danganronpa in there. Did I see?
The Dragon Grandpa.
Yeah. Is that in there? Or am I
Like,
mixing
it
that
was
up
a
with?
stage or something,
Oh, but
right?
no characters?
I
I could have sworn I saw that.
I haven't
stuff
seen
from that franchise. And
anything from
maybe
that
I'm mixing
franchise
it up with some other anime mashup that came out.
I'm trying
recently.
to think, like, yes, because I was with you and we saw that on a thing.
Yeah.
And it was like a level select or something.
Yeah, maybe.
Oh yeah. Not in the base game.
I think literally it is not in characters wise, but I think it was a
Just
stage or
background.
something.
So maybe characters to come.
Perhaps.
Fucking I don't know.
Maybe look at that murderous teddy bear in there.
Perhaps. No, I haven't seen anything. Not in the announced DLC either, from what I've seen. But yeah, I'm really, really surprised and really hopeful.
Is that
for
out
this game.
next week?
I want to say next week.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
People seem more into Arxis fighters than
I think
some other prominent fighters.
Arxis has
these
like
days.
really hit a good. Well, yeah, it's two things. Yes, you're right. The people are looking for something new.
Yes.
But also, I think Arxis has really hit a good stride in terms of finding ways to make their games accessible.
Yeah.
Because they've always looked fucking cool as hell.
Yeah.
But you pick up, Revelator or something, you're like, I sort of know what I'm doing, but not really.
Mm-hmm.
With this, like the systems and the tutorials have gotten better. The systems have gotten a little bit easier to understand, or like I hesitate to say simplified because there is depth to it still. But it's a little bit easier to wrap your head around.
Yeah.
And you can kind of get in there and make some shit happen. And I think that's a winning combo for them. And they've hit it across multiple games now. Like I think Persona 4 Arena, I think actually did a pretty good job of like simplifying what you thought of as the Arxis systems. And I think from there, it's only gotten better as they've tried to approach like, simplifying their stuff or rounding it out.
Did they bring the character assets straight over from that game?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I saw some people talking about like some people were calling this game an asset flip, basically. In our chat on Friday.
Sure. Yes, they're not wrong, but also there's a rich history in fighting games of bringing that stuff, together, reusing
character art a little bit here and there.
Here's this Morrigan
far
sprite.
too
Yeah,
long.
Fair.
That's not exactly. I don't know. Like, yes,
Maybe
but
not a
also
huge
like
knock
I
against
don't
the game.
feel that that's like a gigantic
Asset
knock
flip
either.
carries such a stigma with it. Like they're doing enough work to the engine.
Yeah, it sounds like
yeah.
a solid package.
Yeah.
It's its own thing. And like I think out of the gate, you're like, man, 2 attack buttons, that's weird. It doesn't seem like a lot. Obviously, you use more buttons than just the 2, but it's actually kind of nice. I don't know. Like you don't feel like limited. You're not like, man, if this only had 6 attack buttons. Like, no, it's.
It makes for some confusing if you're not on it with the inputs. For example, with like your supers, it's either quarter circle back or quarter circle forward with B and C, right? Now B and C just by itself is the throw button. So if you miss the input, you're going to get like a throw animation. Also, you maybe fuck it up even more, and that's like the clash button. That's the universal overhead. So you've really got to be precise with that. I found it to be a little messy at times. You know, if I'm being messy, then it's like, wow,
then
really got
like
screwed.
a whipped throw is going to come out instead of the super or something. You'd be like, bullshit.
Yep.
I think it's BD for that stuff.
BC.
No, because C is X and B is triangle. What? I played a bunch of training, dude.
All right.
It's D is circle.
A, B, C, D. C is clash.
Why would they rename their buttons?
D is a partner.
D is the partner.
D is down.
Hmm.
I'm also
D as in dog.
I also played a bunch.
Because on UPF you were saying BD, and it, like I kept doing what looked like BD in training, and that was not doing it.
All right.
So I don't know if we remapped the buttons on those sticks or something. Anyway, whatever.
Yeah. Regardless.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, a lot of buttons are like combination.
I'm saying you were giving me the wrong moves on UPF to try to
perhaps
to win.
Mind
is
games.
what I'm saying.
That's how the game is played. That thing sounds solid.
Yeah, way better than expected.
That's cool.
For sure.
Speaking of other people's fighting games,
Mm-hmm.
I understand there was another package out.
Oh yeah. The Street Fighter 30th anniversary collection. 30 years they've been at this shit.
That's
a long time,
terrifying.
man.
Well, when did the first Street Fighter come out?
30 years ago today.
Was it 88?
Happy anniversary.
Street Fighter
Was it
1
actually
would have
88?
been, yeah,
Holy shit.
or
That's crazy.
87 or so. I don't know.
yeah,
But,
something like that. I
Right,
feel like Capcom has
around
fudged
30.
their dates in years past. Like
Sure.
or they've missed some of their anniversaries, but still put the anniversary stuff out.
Mhm.
So I don't know if this is exact or not.
This is a mighty fine collection of 12 games. Yeah, from the original Street Fighter 1, all the way,
All the way up to Street Fighter 12.
Yeah, through Third Strike, Street Fighter 3. As well.
Is it every release?
Yeah,
Is it
yeah.
like every variant? So
not
like-
every
so
variant.
Not
so like
not
with the
like
example of
CE
like
and
out,
Turbo?
yeah. So it does have
All three of
CE
those?
and Turbo.
Okay.
But like the iterations of like Alpha 3, there was a bunch of those.
Okay.
These are the original like arcade ROMs. So take that with a grain of salt.
Yeah. Well, what do you mean? You mean original, like the first release of each one, or like
Yeah.
the final?
Well,
release?
it's probably like the final release.
Okay.
Final like
ultimately.
arcade ROM.
So that means
release.
it means
Not-
you're not
not a
going to
home
get that
version.
cool like whatever the story character building mode that was in the Dreamcast version of Alpha 3. Like,
Sure.
that's not in
Okay.
there.
Or like, the 10 additional characters that were added to Alpha 3 post, the arcade release.
Oh, sure. Okay, I see. Wow,
so-
I didn't know Alpha got extra home
A
characters.
ton.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Yeah. Even some of
Alpha
the
3 didn't have enough characters already.
even some of the subsequent there was like a Upper Max, Upper Max or something like that was released in I want to say just Japan that got additional characters as well. There was the 3DS version, and then ultimately the PSP version, Alpha Max, that had like brand new characters in it, and
Even Alpha 2 had 02 Alpha in Japan, which they released at one point here. I want to say they called it Alpha 2 Gold.
Sounds right.
On some other collection.
Mm-hmm.
Zero or Alpha? What's a better name?
Zero.
But I say Alpha because
that's obviously what it was known by. Yeah. I always thought Zero sounded cooler.
Yeah, so it doesn't have like every iteration of each game, but each step forward. So like Championship Edition, Turbo, then to Super, and so on and so forth.
I mean, most people don't need that exhaustive level of
they don't, but
it's completeness, right?
If they're emulating the CPS2 hardware.
They could just throw
there's
them all
no
in there.
reason not to throw in the different, because there's even just like in the arcade there were like 3 or 4 different variations, like where they did some balance changes and some other stuff like that along the way. Right?
I guess the question is how substantive that stuff
it's not,
actually
but,
is.
Like at the end of the day, like you only really care about probably the final version of each one.
There's probably 3 to 4 that you actually care about.
Yeah.
I mean, and those are the ones that they put a little extra work into, like they put a training mode. In these 4 and made them online accessible, and that's like Super Turbo, right? Hyper Fighting, the original one, Alpha 3, and then Third Strike as well. A couple of those have seen other releases, like an HD remix. Third Strike has been re-released as well, with full online support and training mode and stuff like that. But those are the 4 that are online capable, as it were. This is it's a nice collection.
Yeah, I was going to
for
ask,
sure.
is this like museum quality presentation?
Is there like
Kind-
cool
kind of.
extras and
There-
stuff like
there's
that?
some
It's like-
extras. They've got like an interactive timeline that actually, I thought was kind of neat. There's some, they present some art that I had not seen before, so that's something.
Is it? Did you mess with the Mega Man Legacy collections at all?
Yeah, a little bit.
Is it kind of like that?
similar
Okay,
to
those-
that. I think
those
it's
had
a
a
little
lot
bit
of-
more. This actually has like a so you can go from look at the series and like look at all the characters that are listed there, and then drill down and like select just DJ or something like that. And it's cool. They'll give you his entire history, his appearances, and then also like a little cool sprite viewer, which is kind of fun. It's a neat little extra. It's an exhaustive, collection, but I think there have been other better ways to play some of these titles before. I mentioned like Super Turbo before. They had the HD remix version. I'd rather play that. Like I said,
Third
there's not a lot of the alpha characters that were post arcade included in this.
And like that last gen Third Strike release is
It had like a mission
like
mode,
very,
and a bunch of other
very
stuff,
like highly
right?
regarded, right?
Yeah,
I did a lot of work around that one.
So,
Yeah. So I think there's better ways to play some of the specific titles, but man, it's hard to argue with.
Just have them all in one place.
Yeah.
does it
yeah.
have the other Street Fighter 3s in there? Can you-
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Second Impact and
Yeah.
the original. Yep, totally. That rounds out the 12.
Yeah.
And I would hope it goes without saying everything plays right.
Seems as such. Yeah, man. Super Turbo is a lot faster than I remember it to be. Yeah, same thing with like Alpha 3. I still prefer Alpha 2. I gotta say.
That's kind of the thing that breaks this collection for me in a lot of ways. Is like the games they chose to make online
Yep.
are by and large not the ones I want to play. That's a shame.
Yeah.
And
I guess.
that
I love
sucks.
Alpha 3 for its roster and stuff.
It's a
and-
great game, but like if we're picking,
Yeah.
I'm taking Alpha 2.
Yeah, me too.
But also, it's again the thing of like, hey, if you're like just doing emulation and putting netcode on top of emulation,
Yeah, like
couldn't you then just make Alpha 2 online as well?
I
Like,
hate to say things like that because we're not developers.
I don't know.
But it
Yeah,
does,
I
but it
don't
does,
know.
It
You're
does
right.
kind of seem like it maybe wouldn't have been that much
uh,
harder. But who knows?
And I think they're right to probably focus it because if you have 12 online playable Street Fighter games, no one's ever going to find a match because everyone's looking for a different variant. You know, as this thing gets older and older and fewer people come to it for online.
Yeah, that's fair.
You know, you're going to have situations where you got someone trying to play original Street Fighter 3 online and wondering why he never, that they never find anyone.
Yeah.
Uh,
I have not heard good stuff about the netcode either. Not that I've
then
had-
maybe it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
But if you got people around locally who want to play, I imagine having all these in one package is pretty convenient.
Yeah, totally. Oh, and they did revive one of the weirdest modes that I had seen is the Super Street Fighter Tournament Edition. It was like, I want to say 4 cabinets that were like linked together, networked together back in the day. And you would kind of like, it was like a hot seat kind of situation. It's like, hey, you're at station 1, play one match, and then it goes down the ladder, and it's like, oh, you got to go to station 3.
Like get up and move to another cabinet.
Exactly, yeah.
This is a weird
So
setup.
it was like
they-
for arcades that wanted to have tournaments, but they
Yeah.
kind of rigged up. Yeah, like
but it was like
Capcom
it was
did this
one
version,
round. It
but-
was real cutthroat.
Yeah.
It's goofy. It's
that's
kind of
cool.
fun. It's cool that they've revived it.
Yeah.
It's a nightmare to actually play though. Like when we set it up at the Capcom offices, there were 4 switches, right? And we just had the hardest time getting like everything synced up, and you've got to like make sure that the Joy-Cons are connected to that specific station and they don't leave, and it was a nightmare. But
like if you envision trying to use that in a situation where
Man.
everyone's brought their own stick,
Yeah.
it just doesn't happen.
Nope.
So it's probably one of those things where they were like, oh, it'd be cool to recreate this
Yeah.
thing that is kind of lost to time.
Yep. It's neat that
but
it's
they
in
probably
there.
don't expect people to actually do this on a regular basis.
Yeah, I don't know. They were pushing
seems-
it kind of hard in that meeting.
Well,
in
yeah,
practice,
yeah.
it was, But you're absolutely right. Like, if you bring your own stick and you plug it into the Switch or whatever, like,
Can you even? I guess there are sticks for the
Yeah.
Switch now, right?
yeah, totally.
But
and adapters.
have you
and
been playing it on PS4?
stuff. Yeah, and on
Okay.
Switch
Okay.
actually a little bit too. Yeah,
Yeah.
it seems to run just fine on the Switch. Yeah, that's where I checked out like all the museum stuff, and yeah, it was a fun romp, and I'm glad that this collection exists for sure. What is it? $40, I think.
Something like that.
Is it
Yeah.
really? Wow. that's-
Yeah.
How do you feel about the Switch D-pad for this thing? Because that's something that
Unusable.
yeah, like the idea of just like, oh, portable Street Fighter, that's
Nope.
cool. And when
Using a
they put out
Joy-Con.
that last one, the
I'm not even that impressed with the Pro Controller D-pad. For
Yeah,
sure.
it's not great.
But luckily, yeah, there's a lot of alternatives for controllers to use on the Switch.
It is not. I haven't looked too deeply into this stuff, not to go down a rabbit hole, but there is a whole cottage industry of replacement like Switch shell parts out there now.
Yeah,
like you can totally mod a real D-pad onto your Joy-Con, like not super hard.
And that's the thing.
It's not super difficult.
Yes, there are controllers and all these other options, but like in terms of the idea of, hey, portable Street Fighter, it's going to be Joy-Cons on the side of a Switch, unless you're going to do some mod work or something.
Well, how is the thumbstick? Is that also a non-starter?
It's an analog stick. It's not.
Yeah,
it's
not
better.
I
think it's better than the D-pad.
Wow.
For sure. Not saying much.
See, when that last Street Fighter thing came out for Switch, like I couldn't use that. I mean, I could use that analog stick, but I would rather use their D-pad buttons thing.
What was that? Ultra Street Fighter?
Ultra Street. That's what it's called. Yeah,
okay.
Ultra Street Fighter 2.
That weird launch thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, just in general, having a better D-pad on the Joy-Con would be nice, but
Sure.
I have heard it's sort of easy to mess up your Joy-Con if you take it apart. So
I wouldn't doubt that.
Hmm.
Yeah, I don't think I'm going to take it apart or do any modding. Yeah, that's not the first system I'd go to for fighting game stuff. It's nice having that stuff.
I mean, I guess the use case is just like everybody brings their Switch and you can play versus without having a TV and having to juggle controllers and stuff.
I guess,
but that's its own set of like
we did it
hassle.
We fought streets in the street.
Yeah,
that one time.
Yeah, that was kind of cool.
Where it's meant to be played.
But it was cool. But if you were trying to take it any level of seriousness, you're like, all right, there are 40 different better ways to do this.
You're gonna want a TV and sticks, I guess, if you want to play anything.
Not
serious.
A sideways Joy-Con.
Totally.
Yeah.
In a pinch, you do what you gotta.
Yeah, totally. I busted out at a barbecue one time. Had a good time.
Those god awful shoulder buttons.
Barbecue sauce all over that thing.
Yeah.
Yum.
It's bite sized.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's
all right,
about
cool.
it for
Fighting.
me.
You played some fighting games. It's a change of pace.
Getting the bug again, man. Like,
yeah.
Dusting off sticks and stuff at home. It's great.
That's cool. You got anything to bring to the table?
So I can talk about some more of the stuff that I played at Sony a couple weeks ago. Such as Firewall 0 Hour, which is a PlayStation VR game. It's like a 4-on-4 multiplayer shooter.
Okay.
First-person shooter type stuff. Like I think it's 4v4 is how they had it set up, and they had it set up with the aim controller, the big old plastic gun shell thing. It seemed all right. You know, it was like tactical in nature. You know, it is like dudes running around a warehouse, I think was the map that we were playing on.
It's like modern military themed.
Yeah, more or less. Yeah. But it was like, you know, hey, the one team needs to hack this laptop and the other team needs to stop them. And there's a firewall and you got to do this. And so you had to hack things before you could hack the laptop. So kind of like 2 stages of objectives, which makes it slightly cyber and slightly less.
Is there anything to the hacking besides walk up and hold a button?
You know, I never actually did it.
Okay.
Because if someone else on my team did, but no, you know what?
I literally walked up to a terminal and were like manipulating things like
cool,
under fire. Like that could
no,
be
you know
cool.
what? I did activate the laptop once, and it was just walk up to it and hold down a button. So
if you had to like walk up and like bridge a couple wires together or something cool
that
like
would
that,
be kind of fun.
While you're like dodging bullets, that could be cool. But
yeah, it handled pretty well.
Yeah,
is the thing I'll say.
Is that the one I've seen some developer making an FPS recently saying they felt like they had a sort of movement. Like a look and movement option figured out for VR that was, you know, better than most. I don't know if that was them or not. I'm just
gonna say that you've described every single VR demo in the history of the world.
We're the ones who
someone
figured it
saying
out.
We figured out locomotion.
Yeah.
But yes, I believe this is another game where they've said, hey, we've figured out some stuff around locomotion. It has comfort turning and free, you know, but also like it felt like a lot of other VR shooters in that sense, in that, you know, you're kind of. You can do the snap turning stuff or the free turning stuff. And when you run, it does the thing. Remember that game Riggs?
Yeah. Barely.
Yeah.
From launch day.
Remember how it did the thing where when you were moving quickly, your field of view kind of went in?
Yeah, Skyrim does that too.
Yeah, this had that by default as well. Which is, you know, I think that's an idea that is comfortable for some people. But I didn't have a problem moving. I had the comfort turning on. I probably would have rather turned it off. But either way, it felt fine. The thing you run into is that with it being PlayStation VR, the minute you get into the game and you're suddenly facing away from the camera and the camera can no longer see the ball on your gun,
right? Yes,
because you're blocking it with your body.
Right,
the tracking is what the tracking is. Right. So you know it has the limitations of the platform are still present.
Yeah.
In what I played, my understanding is you can actually use the DualShock 4 to play it though too, and aim that way.
Okay.
Which, with the
with
sticks,
that motion. Okay.
because you're still using the analog sticks on the aim controller to move and turn and stuff like
So
that.
if you turn your back to the camera, the sticks can just take over.
I guess so.
Huh.
Yeah. And yeah, so I thinking about it, I might actually rather play that game with a regular controller and just kind of aim that way and do your shooting and turning
Would
on a
you
regular controller.
play it at all?
Maybe, yeah.
In your own time.
It's well, I don't know.
Yeah.
PlayStation VR tracking being what it is, like I'm not inclined to spend a ton of time with it. But
Well, also,
I did
just-
have a good time playing it.
Yeah, that's cool.
It seems well made.
It feels like VR shooters come and go frequently.
Yes, but also the majority of them are not multiplayer.
True.
And the majority of them just boil down to basic shooting galleries. So the idea of just like, hey, we're defending an objective and everyone is kind of present in the space.
Yeah.
I think there's merit to it.
Mixed with like the physicality of like ducking behind
Exactly.
stuff. And,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
and physically aiming a gun and
yeah.
stuff like that. That does sound all right.
That stuff I think works well, and it was fun. You
Yeah.
know, like throwing grenades and seeing the line draw out and lobbing grenades through doorways and shit like that, and opening a door, peeking around it, like the stuff that of VR shooting. I
Yeah.
think they bring a lot of it together here in a
That's
way that I
cool.
think works well.
It's nice to. I mean, it's nice to see Sony is still investing in VR development. Like I saw the headset is going back down to $199 over E3.
Oh,
or they're doing like just a big general sale of games, and like I think the Pro is $349. But
yeah, and then they have a new blue non-pro.
yes,
That
but
looked nice, but is not a pro.
Yeah.
So what are you doing?
like I just bought that Windows mixed reality headset like a month ago, but I saw that $199 on the PSVR, and I'm like, maybe I should. Like they make just enough exclusive games that are cool that I'm like, man, it might be nice to have one of those, even though it's not the best piece of hardware.
I bought one to play Polybius.
Yeah,
like it's
Yeah.
not the.
and that's even coming to.
It is supposedly
Steam,
eventually
right?
coming
Eventually?
to PC.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's just enough stuff out. Like I've been meaning to play Moss. That
Oh right.
Mouse
the
looks
yeah.
really
the
good.
mouse,
Yeah.
the mouse game. Like there's just enough PSVR games that seem really cool that it almost seems like it's worth having one.
They had a handful of other games there. Probably the other one that was a standout for me was Vacation Simulator from the Job Simulator folks.
right. I didn't know you got to play that.
Yeah.
Wow. Is it more of that?
It is. They've blown out the concept a little
Okay.
bit in terms of like it seems, and it was like an 8-minute demo, so hard to kind of tell the full form of the final game or anything like that. But it is similar in terms of what the jokes are. It is floating robot computer heads telling you what they think it is to vacation, much like they told you how to job.
Yeah. But the writing was good enough
Yes.
in the first one.
So the writing
the
writing still works really well.
At the same time, I feel like we need a name for this like subgenre of like wacky item manipulating comedy vehicle.
Right.
Like the Rick and Morty thing, like accounting,
Which they also made.
like accounting is that right?
yeah.
Maybe it's mostly them making these games.
Well, like Nog, that game that Double Fine published, I would probably put in this camp too,
okay.
in that it's like you're kind of poking at a thing and animations and things come out of it, and you go, oh,
yeah. Well,
and either
specifically
it's funny or profound.
Well, yeah,
or sometimes both.
Specifically, there's this like Portal-esque style of
Sure.
writing to a lot of
Oh,
these.
well,
I
yeah,
feel like
yeah.
that. Whatever. That's just.
Yes,
I mean, the slingshot thing in the lab.
Oh, right.
Is
Yep.
also totally that.
Yeah. Like, it's like the equivalent of a point-and-click adventure game in which you keep clicking on the same person to get all the lines of dialogue.
Sure.
Except they've turned it into a full thing. I like Vacation Simulator. The demo they gave, it was more about like, you're kind of moving around from station to station in a single environment, at least in the situation where they showed. So it was like, okay, there's going to be like a different character at each stop.
Oh, okay, because you were
and
kind of stationary in Job Simulator.
you were disappearing and warping back up at a different location. And this is more like, okay, I'm going to teleport here and place Frisbee for a little bit here. And then I'm going to go over here and there's a block puzzle kind of thing. There's a shop where you can kind of unlock some stuff. And I did not get the impression that that was the only environment in the game, but it was an 8-minute demo, so it was hard to get a feel for like really how much is here, because Job Simulator ultimately was kind of an afternoon's worth of entertainment.
Yeah, it's
and
like 2 hours or something.
I think they made it sound like that this was more substantial.
Okay.
But the demo was kind of locked to one sort of zone. You have a backpack, so you're kind of manipulating stuff and storing stuff and bringing it to different stations and giving it to characters and kind of having more jokes that way. You have a camera, so you can kind of take pictures of stuff, take selfies of yourself or whatever.
Sure.
And that was a good time. They also had Servios had Creed, their boxing game.
Wow, that's VR, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
They seem to put games out at a good clip.
They got
Like what is this, their third one?
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah.
Yeah, Raw Data, and then Sprint Vector, and now Creed. Creed Rise to Glory, I think the subtitle is.
Wait, is it tied into the movie?
Yeah.
Oh shit! Wow.
Like, there is a Rocky Balboa in a hat.
Oh wow.
With a not great Sylvester Stallone sounding voice coming out of it. But
How about the likeness?
It's the likeness.
They got
and
VR Stallone.
they built a boxing game. The demo that I got was not the tracking was not very good on it. Like the punches just weren't connecting. Like halfway through, we stopped and recalibrated, and even after that, it was like, this is better, but it still doesn't.
Maybe I won't buy one of those headsets.
Doesn't feel outstanding. And so the demo they gave was like there was a training montage. Literally, they called it a training montage because it's fucking Rocky.
Okay.
Where you're kind of hitting the heavy bag in different locations and doing combos and stuff like that. And then when you get in the fight, it is kind of about blocking incoming punches and countering. And the thing they do when you get knocked down, you'll have to kind of match a pose to get back in your body, kind of. But if you really get knocked the fuck down, it'll put you very far away from the ring, out in total darkness, and you have to do the sprint vector run motion to run back to your body.
That's cool.
It's a really fucking abstract, weird thing that works pretty well.
Ported that control scheme right over.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Is there a heart pumping training montage song?
Yeah.
Yeah. Lyrics?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Yeah, I think so.
Hitting all the notes.
It's hard for me to remember the training montage 100% because that was the time where I'm like, this is broken. And they're like, you need to punch better. I'm like, I fucking am.
Is the blocking, you're just throwing your hands up?
Yeah, you put your hands up, and your gloves will change color when your stamina is low.
Okay.
So you kind of know if you're, going to be good to go or not.
Should I see Rocky at some point?
The fuck?
Is it
What?
still
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Like
okay.
the original Rocky?
Yeah. Like, is it still is it still essential?
Yeah.
Creed is really good.
I tried. Well, that's the thing. I couldn't even watch that until I saw the original. Right? You have to watch. You don't need to see all of them, right? To get
You know through osmosis what the fuck Rocky is.
Totally.
You could probably watch
Totally,
Creed and
yeah. I'm sure that it's fine.
Yeah.
But I tried to watch Rocky one time and the DVD was too scratched. Did not play.
I'm not an enormous Rocky fan.
Yeah.
It's fine. But I never really had any.
How about Rocky 2, 3, or 4?
They're all the same.
All damn good.
Like whatever.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I understand why people like them, but
I love them.
never
All-
really.
Is there 5?
Yeah.
And
Which
then,
one?
And then
5
Rocky,
is the one with that "Go For It" song, right?
Yeah.
Or-
Yeah.
And is the Rocky Balboa after that?
Yes.
Technically Rocky 6.
Yes.
And then Creed? It's
I-
a lot of Rocky.
And then Creed 2 is happening, right?
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah. I don't know, man. Boxing.
Sure.
They should have rebooted Rocky as an MMA thing for modern audiences that don't care about boxing. Sure.
Maybe a sports entertainer.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah. Something that matters.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Something real.
I almost no. I cannot have that conversation yet.
Leave that can sealed for now.
Ugh. Disgusting.
So mostly PSVR stuff at this thing?
This was the same event where I
Yeah.
saw Dreams and,
Okay.
and that stuff. So yes, they had a handful of other games, but those are the ones that stood out.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah.
All right. Jan, you got any games you want to bring to the fore?
I finished God of War.
Oh, cool.
I guess I don't want to talk about deep spoiler stuff, but I didn't know till the very end of the game because I wound up listening to the spoiler cast
Beforehand? Or after?
Afterwards.
Okay.
I didn't know that you could turn off the chisel doors, that you kind of have to hunt for a spot and then hit it to unlock it. It's like a weird mini game after you get a certain item.
Okay.
I didn't know that you could turn that off and you could just walk up to a door and then unlock it.
Just hit a button?
Yep.
Huh.
Yeah.
I didn't know that either.
Is that like
Yeah.
an accessibility thing?
Yeah,
Or is it
totally?
Huh.
So I turned off the matching on circle to when Kratos lifts something or it's like a mini game type deal, and I would just hold circle. I didn't notice the chisel door thing. And I will say some of those Valkyries, the secret bosses or enemies you fight, complete BS. Not a fan.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good. I don't want to dig too deep into the story because some people are still making their way through it,
Yeah.
but it definitely the twist at the end I was not expecting. and the secret ending kind of, it was mildly, not mildly, but like super impressed.
Yeah,
because I did not see that coming.
Is the secret thing something you have to work for, or is it
no,
just like
no?
after
You just
the
have to go
credits,
back
or?
home.
Okay, okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Like optional. Like
Yeah.
Red Dead style.
Yeah, it's one of those things where you could totally like continue playing through at the end of the game and not come across if you choose not to go back home. But
Okay.
yeah.
You think you're gonna finish that?
No.
Wow.
No,
Okay.
I came to the realization over the weekend that it's been 2 or 3 weeks since I've touched God of War, and I don't see myself going back to it at this point.
Okay.
How far did you get along in that?
I don't know. Like, I got to the point where I went to a realm and finished that entire realm and came out the other end and then started sailing around and going to different areas.
Yeah.
And then I was like, all right. And then I don't know if something else came out. Like, I'm trying to figure out what it was, but at just some point, like, I just stopped going back to it.
Yeah, I had the same thing. I mean, I had a lot of some life stuff get in the way, but I do want to finish that game just for kind of end of year purposes, if nothing else. But I was also pretty into it. Like,
I didn't not enjoy it.
I wound up liking the kid a lot.
Yeah.
There were times where it's like, kid,
There were times where I just
shut
wanted
up.
to fucking ground that little shit.
Yeah.
Well, whatever. I don't want to get too much into interpreting things people said obliquely about the game and what I think they meant, but I hit the first instance of him being a little shit to Kratos.
Oh my god.
And I don't know if that's an angle that they are leaning into.
That was when I got to that point. I was like, I don't like this is, but I don't think they stick with that.
Snide offhand comments about
they don't.
Who was a better parent
They
and
don't
stuff like
stick,
that.
They don't stick with that.
Okay. I don't know how deep they got into that stuff.
But yeah, I don't know, man. I got to a point where I kind of just got a little bored with the combat and like was looking at the next objectives and some of the like. Because you had said that you went and did a bunch of other stuff before going into that first
when I hit the
kind of realm, going to the tree and doing all that stuff.
When I hit the lake, I did everything I could at the lake before I moved on.
So I came back to the lake after doing all that stuff and was like, well, Brad said he did all this other stuff. And then I went around and looked and saw what there was to see and went like, none of this seems great.
I mean,
and
a lot of
climbing
it is,
the mountain and
a lot of it is very side mission-y.
Yeah.
Like it's not the dragon thing and there's dragon thing and one other thing feels like good meaty side quest content, but a lot of it was just like, help these ghosts out. Do the thing they want you to do, which is kill these enemies.
Right.
Or, but you guys,
I skipped over a lot of that.
Yeah,
stuff,
I mean, that stuff is not amazing gameplay content, but I got a lot of like blue and purple gear out of it. So like that was a big deal.
Okay, yeah. So I
need
started
to,
doing that stuff and didn't get any gear out of it. So it was just felt like
kind of have to do everything.
What the fuck am I even
you
doing?
have to kind of complete all that stuff to get to
I
the
see.
end of all of
Right.
it to get all the good stuff.
I will say that, like skipping all that stuff, I didn't need it.
Yeah, you
at the
don't
end of
need
the
it.
game.
Yeah, you totally don't need it. It just gives you some kind of neat customization options.
Yeah, totally. I did beat it though. I haven't done the part after the part, I guess.
Okay.
That he was talking about earlier, but
I think
I figured that's where it was. I should just go and do that, I guess. Get the full experience.
Yeah, I think that's going to be a post E3 thing for me is to go back to that.
I bought an open source scan converter.
Oh,
yeah.
I became.
Do tell.
I have SCART cables.
Nice. Okay.
You
can finally tell me what SCART stands for.
Super cool
art.
Awesome.
Anal retentive
rad
technology.
Okay.
That checks out.
Yeah.
I just Googled it.
Yeah. That shit looks good.
Yeah.
I hooked up because I bought a PC Engine, like a Duo R off eBay some time ago, and it was RGB modded and came with a SCART cable. And I was like, oh, well, I'm never going to use that.
Unless.
And now here we are years later. I'm like, wait, I should dig that thing out. And I bought cables for like, I've been doing more of this PS2 stuff. And as we were going down the rabbit hole of just like, how do we make PAL Garfield run? And how do we do this? And how do we do that? And suddenly I was like, well, I'm going to get SCART cables for a Saturn and a PS2 and buy this thing. So I ordered one and it showed up over the weekend and I updated the firmware on it and dug it and started hooking it all up. And that shit looks sharp.
Right.
Like when you get a really good, clean RGB signal coming out of a console into that thing, into your TV, it is very close. And there's a ton of configuration options and stuff, and different consoles are going to require different sync states and all this other stuff. It's not impossible to figure out, but it might be a bit much for some people.
A little technical.
There were times where I was like, well, I don't know why ×4 doesn't spit out to my TV at all. It's just a black screen, but ×5 seems to work, like all the line doubling.
Yeah, I'm almost surprised.
Tripling.
I mean, consoles are more or less fixed hardware. I'm surprised they don't just have like profiles included for each machine.
You can set and save your own profiles and kind of recall them and stuff.
I'm sure there's plenty of info out there about
There
like,
is.
here's the best settings for PS2 or whatever.
Some of the Sony stuff ends up being weird because some of those games switch resolutions on the fly. So like a title screen will be one res and then it'll pop for in-game and stuff like that. That can be weird.
I was watching a video on YouTube last week about even different revisions of the same PlayStation have different like output differently in subtle ways.
And there are some cases like the Super Nintendo, like if you have the original model or a Super Famicom, you can just buy a cable and plug it in and go. But some of the later models, as they started trimming it down, they're like, oh, these ones don't do RGB anymore. And so you have to maybe do some work if you want that. But anyway, the point being, when you get all this shit set up properly, it is, I'm not going to say indistinguishable, but I'm going to say damn close to indistinguishable from like you spitting that shit out on a PC and like running it via an emulator and
awesome.
like that it's that clean.
Yeah.
And it's pretty awesome. So this got me going like, well, I could get a Jaguar cable for my Jaguar now, right? I could do that. And, I don't think I'm going to necessarily go back and like RGB mod any hardware, but I guess you never know.
Maybe you want everything to be playable.
At this point, you're like, well, I got this thing. I might as well go all the way with it. And I've got like 6 Atari 2600s here. What if I sent one to someone and had them install a bunch of weird shit in it?
This just leads to you becoming one of those people that has like I don't even know how many it would be, like a 5x6 set of shelves where you have like 30 consoles.
I don't
all
think
matrixed into the same TV.
I don't think I want to do that. The specific reason why I started on this, and the Duo R stuff is cool because I already had it. I bought PS2 and Saturn cables for a reason, and that's because those don't run on a PC all that well. It's whatever. Some games run perfectly through emulation, all other stuff. It is damn fine. But the compatibility is still on the way. You know, there are still authors out there writing emulators that are making Saturn and PS2 stuff better all the time.
Yep.
But it's not there yet. And so I wanted to be able to do that stuff. So that's why I specifically bought those. But that MVS, that consoleized MVS, that Omega, there's a SCART cable for that. So I can do all that Neo Geo stuff that way. That Duo R was ready to go. So it was cool to have that, you know, be an option as well. SCART. Man.
Bring that shit in. Let's play with it.
Yeah, I will.
Yeah, how is it for capture? Is it? I assume it's probably
good.
A good solution.
Well, yeah, it's fine.
Like what comes out of the
HDMI?
People pronounce it OSSC or OSC or
yeah, I guess. Yeah, but it's HDMI out.
Okay.
With audio. So that's something like as they've revised this scan converter, they have like said, oh, well, the 1.6 version has audio built in and all this other stuff.
Good.
And because it used to be you have to split out the audio and put it back in later. And at that point I was like, I'm not getting one of these. But seeing where they're at now, I'm like, okay, cool, I'm in.
And they're still not mass producing that thing, right? You still have to like put in an order and wait.
No,
for them to get built.
The place I ordered from had them in stock, so I just ordered it and it shipped from the UK and was like maybe a week, slightly less.
How much?
200 and change, something like that.
It's not too bad.
No, it's not too bad. And then I had to order the cables from a different place, and that place is like the place I ordered the cables from. I wish I could remember the name of it, but it's a place that sells SCART cables. Like they have an online store that is perpetually out of stock.
SCART Mart.
But it is in stock every morning at like 7 a.m. or whatever, because all the cables are made by hand. So they take orders in the morning and then turn off orders.
It's like a fish market.
Yeah, totally. It's a fish market for fucking bespoke cables.
All right.
It's kind of amazing. Yeah, it's cool. It works really well. I'll bring it in, and we'll mess around with it because I've been plugging it into my capture card. That was the other reason why I started going down this road, is because the mono price. Like I was using like this S video, and I had a component one also the to HDMI converter, and for whatever reason, this Elgato capture card I got would not take the audio. It was just showing video, no audio, and I wrote to Elgato multiple times and said, "This card you put out doesn't do it, but this external device you made years before does. What's going on?" And they would never give. I replaced it with one. They sent me a new one.
Were just as baffled for whatever reason.
I just wanted to like get any kind of acknowledgement of just like, hey, we're working on it, or something like that. But there was nothing. It was just like, I don't know. You should get a And eventually, their final
external audio adapter.
Their final suggestion for me was to like go get one of these cables that goes into a headphone jack and then plug that into the back of your PC. And I'm like, that's fucking. At that point, I didn't even write back. I was like, all right, this fucking support exchange is over because this is bullshit.
That's a bummer.
So that 4K capture card that Elgato sells, I feel, is maybe not ready for prime time. If you're out there and you're wondering, but now that I purchased the scan converter, like the audio of that thing comes in just fine. So at least that's working now. So bad way to go about getting it done, and hopefully they'll continue to work on that card and update the firmware and all their other stuff to get it where it needs to be.
Yeah, I wonder what that was.
But then again, they do market it and sell it as a 4K capture device, so maybe it's on me to be like, I'm trying to plug a Saturn into your 4K card. What the fuck is going on? Anyway, that stuff's fun. Yeah. I don't know. It's cool that it all seems to work.
Yeah, it's cool to see that stuff evolving to the point that it's. I'm not going to say it's easy yet, but it's accessible now.
It is. I would definitely call it accessible
without soldering necessarily.
Yes. No, I didn't have to solder shit.
Yeah.
But depending on what platform you want to plug into this thing, your mileage will vary.
Yeah. Cool. Real quick, I played PixelJunk Monsters 2.
Yeah.
I made a new PixelJunk Monsters after 12 years. That was, I think that was like a launch-ish game for the PS3, right?
How cute is it?
Was Monsters the first PixelJunk game?
No.
Okay.
I want to say Racer, maybe?
Yeah.
I think it was like
God, I don't
Racer,
that.
Monsters.
Monsters the first
Eden?
one I remember.
I think Eden was the third one.
Shooter?
Huh. Maybe, or maybe Racer was. I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Did Racer 2? It's a blur.
It's a blur. 2 shooters for sure.
Yeah.
Also, I think they include Nom Nom Galaxy in that franchise, even though it didn't say PixelJunk in the title. Anyway, do you like tower defense?
No. I've played some tower defense.
Okay.
That's a very non-committal answer. Yep. I salute you.
It is. It's super similar to the first one. I mean, the look is fantastic. It's 3D. It's got a not quite like a claymation look, but it's tilt shifted. It's sort of chibi,
like soft focus stuff.
Yeah, soft. Okay. It's got a nice look to it. Plays super similar to the first one. You're still controlling the little mask dude to run around. He's almost like
directly,
a cursor.
Yeah.
He's almost
he's like a cursor, but he's not like attacking like other like hero tower defense stuff.
There is a shop, so this might be new. It's been over a decade since I played Monsters. There's an in-match, like an in-level shop that you can go spend currency at to buy weapons.
New. Yeah.
So I think you maybe actually can attack enemies directly now.
Okay.
Same thing though. If you just run him over top of a tree, the trees are what you can build your towers on. If you leave him stationary on a tower, he will dance in front of it, and it will upgrade the tower faster.
Excellent.
It's very much that game. From what I've seen, like the progression.
That original game was very good.
It was a good game. It's hard in the way the first one was, which is to say the enemies can really sort of overwhelm you quickly. In the way that you have to start the level over.
Okay.
Because the progression is really rough in that game, because to move on to a new area, you have to get perfect scores on a certain number of levels.
Really? Okay. Ooh.
So I finished the first area with only 1 of 3 levels in that area perfect, and I had to get 2 to move on, so I just had to go back and replay another level again, because if a single enemy gets through, you don't get a rainbow segment it's like the currency that gets you to the next area.
You dealing with the same types of enemies? We got some flying ones.
It's to start. It's very much the same.
Yeah,
it's the slow ground dudes, the fast spider dudes, the flying guys, the big jumping statue thing as a boss. Like it's very familiar if you played the first one, but it's a neat modernized version of that.
It seems weird that after all these years they're back to making such a similar game, but I guess that's cool. I wonder if they're going to do any more of this.
I don't know.
Any more PixelJunk stuff.
Like I really like that studio just because they do weird stuff. Like they try a lot of things. Like I don't know how Tomorrow Children went for them. It seemed.
I feel like I have a pretty good idea.
I mean, obviously the game did not do great because they shut it down after like a year. But like they seemed, I don't know. I
committed to that.
I follow their founder on Twitter, and he seemed pretty bummed that game didn't last.
It had some neat ideas.
Yeah, so sure. I don't know what. I don't know if they're gonna start churning out PixelJunk games again or what. But this game's cool. It's got some camera issues. It's like I wish you could zoom the camera out more. I don't know if it's a performance thing, but you can't really keep track of all the routes that the enemies could be spawning
that would
from.
Be by design.
Yeah, so I've seen some forum chatter that they're talking about adding more camera options and stuff. So hopefully they're going to address that stuff.
Then maybe not.
Is there a mini map showing that stuff?
No, that's the thing.
Weird.
Like, you don't get a lot of good like edge of screen icons showing where the enemies are. I mean, if you move to the right area of the map, you will. But there's no good at a glance sort of like total tactical overview of everything.
That sounds kind of rough.
It's hard to keep track of for sure. But I hope they add some stuff and improve it.
Those PixelJunk games, I think you said it when we played a little bit of this on Friday, but like those were like the thing for downloadable PS3 games.
Totally.
It was like I feel like it was the first batch of stuff where you're like, oh, there's unique stuff coming out
Yep.
on Sony's platform as
Like,
downloadables.
My
It's not
memories of
just
totally. My memories of early PSN are PixelJunk and Pain.
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 Right.
Remember Pain?
Yeah.
Yeah, like it was, like XBLA was coming up as a brand, and like they were starting to put out really good games. They were like,
Cool
holy shit,
arcade stuff.
downloadable games are an actual thing that matters. And then
Yeah.
PixelJunk, was like the Sony
They were standouts for their heart and their charm.
Yeah, counterpart to that. They were super unique for sure. So it's cool to see that stuff coming back. I don't know how that studio's doing overall, but I finished my first community in State of Decay 2.
Really?
Which I guess means I like that game. I played like 25 hours of it.
How do you finish a community?
So that game is
seasons
not
in a movie.
that game is not made to be played in perpetuity. Like I got my base more or less to a state of equilibrium. Like I was not quite there.
I was gonna say this seems very counter to everything you were saying last week, where you're like, it seems like you're never gonna get there, and you're never gonna quite get to what you need.
I never quite did, but I got close enough that I was kind of okay. Like I don't know why it took me so long to find this, but there's a really basic breakdown. Like you can just get a list of like, here's how much food you're consuming every day. Here's how much you're generating, and the same thing for ammo, meds. Just building material, all that stuff.
Ammo in, ammo out, all that stuff. Yeah,
like they do make it really easy to just see. All right, I'm now producing more than I'm consuming of all this stuff. Like I got all but one of those into the black, so that was, but it was a challenge. Like it was not easy.
Sure.
It was not at all easy. I had to get kind of creative with some of that stuff and make some sacrifices I didn't want to make. But once you get to that point, like you clear the plague hearts from the map, the things that generate the nasty blood zombies, and then all those blood zombies are gone, and then you just kind of hang out. And like you pick a leader, and there are archetypes like builder and trader and warlord.
Yeah.
And they have like legacy missions that spawn, but they're really algorithmic. They're just like I picked builder, and my builder lady's legacy missions were just like, people are going to keep showing up at your base asking to join for 5 or 6 times in a row.
Okay.
And you can either let them join or turn them down. In some cases, if you turn them down, they will immediately turn into zombies.
That's how that works.
Yeah. It's actually it's actually amazing to watch the algorithms, like just the rough machinery grind together, because like I had 2 people run up, one of which was very obviously sick with the blood plague, and the other, the healthy guy was like, please, you got to take us in. Like my wife is dying. Like she's gonna turn.
I can clearly see that.
She's gonna turn anytime, and I didn't have room, so I'm like, sorry, can't take you in. And he's just like, oh shit, all right, man, that sucks. And then immediately she turns into a zombie, and then one of his canned lines for killing a zombie comes out as he slices her head off, where he's just like, fucking zombies, like the seconds after he's been like pleading with you for his wife's life. Just like the
things escalated.
It's really dumb.
Well, now that she's out of the picture, we can take you in.
Totally.
Right?
Yeah. Anyway, like you do all those missions, and then it just very much says like, all right, you do the last legacy mission for your leader, and then you can never access this community again. That's it.
Really?
Oh wow. Okay.
Like, what do you do? Do you just like go off into the wild to form a new one?
In my case, my last mission was one of those groups, one of those factions that I had turned down previously showed back up, all pissed off, ready to fight.
Oh man.
So the final mission was just like 3 minutes of fighting humans and zombies attacking my base. But
That's kind of cool.
So it's cool. You can never touch that base and that world again, but everybody who survived that run is available for future communities. You can take up to 3 of them into a new community.
Okay.
And they've got tons of upgrades, tons of like skills that enable new stuff.
Need all my warlords.
And then so the leader that you finish your community with unlocks a bonus that you can turn on. So there will be 4 bonuses because there are 4 leader roles, and you can have 2 of the 4 as you unlock them in a new community. And like the one I got, this sounds probably super rote and boring, but it's free water and power with no noise for your entire base, which, having spent a whole like 25 hours trying to manage water and power,
that seems
is fucking huge.
That almost sounds like
it's
not
like
fun
it's
at
almost
that point.
a cheat code.
Yeah.
But I actually, because it was so annoying to manage all that stuff,
Sure.
I really want to start
Like
a new
now you can
community.
kind of just play around because you don't have to worry as much.
I almost finished the credits and almost immediately just started a new community because I wanted to try that stuff. Because I've got a ton of characters that have high level skills evolved who now can build all kinds of crazy late game stuff.
Yeah.
And I would have that crazy buff. And there are 3 maps in the game. Like I only played one of the 3 maps so far. Yeah. So 2 other totally untouched maps. Like it kind of makes me want to get in there and start another community. And like just do it better this time, you know?
Yep.
Like just
That's
min-max it.
great that they don't just throw you in without any sort of carryover.
Yeah, like, totally. There's actually tons of stuff you can bring over. Like I was happy to get rid of that base because all those characters are still alive, and I've got that crazy bonus. And you can skip the tutorial when you start a second community. You can just go straight to the good part, and customize it however you want. Like that stuff's actually handled really well.
That sounds all right. Because when you first started describing it, I was envisioning something like Dragon Quest Builders.
Yeah,
where it's
exactly.
like, hey, you build this thing up and now peace.
No.
Like,
You just, I mean, you lose all the buildings and resource
Yeah,
generation, that but all those high level characters, and it actually actively makes you want to start over.
Cool.
It's that stuff is really cool. But there's like no story to speak of. There's no. Yeah. It's pretty anticlimactic finishing off that community, but the fun of it is just the management and getting those new options.
The fun of it.
Like. I like moving resource allocation around.
I know.
I like finding a way. It's like all right, if I demolish this barracks, but this guy has a +2 to beds skill, then I can take this other
Build
outpost
them better.
that makes food instead of beds. Like it's very managey, but I like it.
Brad Shoemaker, he's in logistics.
That's right. Fill out these.
He's a managey warlord.
Fill out these spreadsheets.
Yeah.
All right, video games. We have been playing them. Let's take a quick break. Come back and talk about news.
Hey, did you know that this week's edition of the show is brought to you in part by 4Hymns?
I do now.
Yes, it's true.
What's up with them though?
4Hymns.com would like to say it's easier to keep the hair you have than replace the hair you've lost.
Don't I know? That's the ancient wisdom.
That's
the old saying.
That's on stone tablets somewhere. You can take it from 4Hymns.com. That's a one-stop shop for hair loss, skincare, sexual wellness, all for men. They've got medical-grade solutions and real doctors and well-known generic equivalents to those name-brand prescriptions.
Who needs name brands?
That's generics. That's fantastic. That's
Same thing.
Helps make things more affordable. These aren't herbal supplements. This isn't some kind of nonsense.
No crystals involved.
Yeah, no. This is prescription solution backed by science.
Yeah. No chakras.
No. Well, it doesn't say anything about chakras here.
Okay.
I can't say for sure one way or the other, but it does say backed by science, and I don't know that there's a lot of chakra science out there. I shouldn't say anything about that one way or the other. I don't actually know.
We're not experts here.
No, but I can say that there's no waiting room and no awkward doctor visits. You will answer a few quick questions at 4Hymns.com, and then a doctor will review and can prescribe you, and everything will be sent directly to your door.
It's like a digital waiting room.
Exactly.
Which is actually just your room.
Yeah. Which may or may not be digital. I don't know.
Kind of hang out and do whatever you want while you're waiting.
Exactly. You can order right now. You can get a trial month of everything you need to keep your hair for just $5 today, right now while supplies last. You can see the website for full details. It says here this would cost hundreds if you went to a doctor or pharmacy.
No, thank you.
That's a significant amount of money.
That's a stack.
So you can get it for $5, which is significally under hundred.
Less than hundreds.
That is less than hundreds.
That is at least $195 cheaper.
True. At minimum, if you do, yes, you've solved the word problem. Head over to 4Hymns.com/bombcast for more details. That is FORHIMS.com/bombcast.
Who needs E3 for news? We got news right now.
Whoa.
I know.
This, the
Do we
news,
have-
the
do we
news
have to go
before
this
the
year?
news.
Got the headlines before the headlines.
They keep dropping stuff.
Yeah.
Do we have to
Stuff
go?
is happening.
There's going to be more stuff that happens there.
That's true.
No.
Yeah.
Don't you want to be where news is?
Not all of it will leak. It's mathematically impossible.
We'll see.
There are not enough days.
I don't know, man.
Not enough retailers.
I don't know.
Not enough disgruntled
I hope there's some surprises
QA testers. I don't know.
at E3.
Yeah.
I hope there's some stuff we don't know about.
Marketing interns reading plans on open laptops.
On the bus. On their scooters.
Before we get to E3, though, here's the stuff that's happening this week.
Mm-hmm.
PUBG Corp has kind of made some rumblings about this in the past, but now they are formally filing suit against Epic Games
Can't beat them? Sue them.
for infringement of intellectual property. Yeah. In South Korea, I should mention.
Yeah.
Okay.
Not here.
I would have expected this sooner, but
Yeah,
I mean,
it seems
maybe it is a situation where it's
strange
like, well, shit. Fuck, if we can't beat them.
Gosh, I had it in front of me. Where is it? Specifically, they cited, I know it was the UI and one other thing. Weapon designs. That was the other one. Weapon designs and user interface are the main things they are citing. Which I don't know how I don't know how broadly you interpret user interface, but like behind the back of a flying vehicle over a map,
mini map in the corner.
Yeah, parachuting onto an island, like stuff like that, I guess, could fall under that in a court.
I mean,
I don't know.
You could try. I mean, you could sue for anything.
Yeah,
but
well, that might be the angle they're taking, at least.
I feel like this is as easy as Epic showing screenshots from a ton of games that came out before Battlegrounds, showing incredibly similar things. Like if it is like, hey, mini map here, this here, map screen here.
Yeah.
Like I'm trying to even envision what this could be because it seems fucking crazy.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, I think when Fortnite Battle Royale came out, a lot of people, including us, saw it for the first time and went, "Huh, wow, that's really that, isn't it?"
But the thing that made it.
I'm not saying they have a legal leg to stand on necessarily, but
the
like
thing that made it seemingly scandalous was like, okay, this is a partner of PUBG Corp.
Yeah.
The license, the engine licensor, and also it was soon enough to feel savage.
Yes.
It was very soon after the launch and rise. It was a very quick turnaround of like, oh, now Fortnite is this, and it was also the idea that it was such a hard pivot from what Fortnite was and had been for years.
I think that's what made it the most opportunistic to me. Is that actual original Fortnite was like what 2 months old or something when they did this.
Yeah,
if that. And kind of, it was okay, but it didn't really set the world on fire.
Yeah. It's like they fucking opened the Battle Royale spigot and dumped it all over the game and said, this is this now.
Right. Yeah, it's almost like they just never gave the real game a chance to breathe. It's like, felt.
Yeah. Well, they are still updating
I know they are,
the other thing. But anyway, like that's why that felt so cold is because it felt like a knife in the back, opportunistic, ice cold moment of just like, man, video games are a business, motherfucker.
Like they almost shivved PUBG Corp and the original Save the World team simultaneously.
Yeah. Where are those Unreal Tournament updates? Yeah. So, but like, is any of that legally actionable? I guess we will find out. Yeah. But like, man, come on. Like, I'm. It does weapon designs and UI elements specifically. Like, are you going to tell me that Player Unknown's Battlegrounds has such a unique UI and weapon design that it is somehow something? And maybe law in South Korea is different than it is here, but here, I feel like there's a long established precedent of like this shit doesn't fly.
Yeah.
Like look at and I saw the tapes that were presented by Capcom, the Capcom Data East stuff, the Fighter's History, Street Fighter 2 stuff. Like Capcom's case were down. It was down to like, hey, there are health bars at the top. Hey, when Gunlock, whatever the fuck the punk rocker dude is, when he does his flaming CD spin, like it was Capcom showing frame by frame, side by side shots of that and Guile's Sonic Boom and going, see? And the court went, no, get it, come on. No. And, Fighter History was pretty similar to a Street Fighter 2, and the design of the marquee, all this other stuff. There were elements of it that you're like, oh, they're trying to make one of those games. But Capcom took them to court, and the response was like, yeah, you also. I want to say the Data East thing was like, hey, we made Karate Champ. We're Data East. We made Karate Champ, so fuck off. And other things of that nature, where you could kind of point to things that came out prior to Street Fighter 2. Yeah. And just go like, hey, look, man.
Like if you want to get into an infinite regression back through game design history, and it's like everything stole from everything.
And that was at a time and with a genre that I think was a little newer and had a little bit less of a precedent in gaming at the time. You want to try to have a fucking tactical shooter lawsuit in 2018?
Right. Yeah.
Like, what? At some point you're just going to go back to like, well, Arma came out and... oh, by the way, the guy that designed your game designed it for Arma first. And what are you even suing? Like it's really hard for me to envision a situation where this is
has a
threat.
Positive outcome for PUBG.
I don't understand. And again, like I don't know shit about South Korean law. I barely know shit about American law.
Word.
But knowing what I know from previous video game lawsuits and how that stuff has gone. This seems preposterous.
Kind of seems like a desperation move.
Yeah.
Or it comes off that way. Not that
this
not that PUBG is like flailing or
it's in a relative scale. Yes, they are still incredibly large. Are they not the game that Fortnite is? Are they not attracting attention the way they used to be?
Yeah, for sure.
Is Fortnite getting like 5 times, at least 5x the amount of attention that PUBG ever got at its height?
Yeah, you can break that down to numbers. I mean, this Polygon story I've got here has straight up like Twitch viewership numbers that show Fortnite several times bigger than PUBG.
Is Microsoft, a company that did a deal with PUBG to get the game on their console, is Microsoft holding Fortnite tournaments in their retail stores?
Right.
Yes.
Sure.
Yes, they are.
Sure.
So yeah, like at some point, yes, the Battlegrounds folks need to figure out what they're going to do, I guess. But this is like, well, whatever. I don't know. Maybe there's something actionable here that I just am not aware of. But,
do you think they have a better angle locking down like their gameplay model, like the battle royale model?
That's the thing. I wonder
because they didn't invent it.
They didn't invent it, but if
I wonder if they actually are broadening stuff like user interface to include like mode format and stuff like that. Like who knows what?
Because if they're just bringing up UI and everything, that's I don't think that's a very strong case.
I don't think the UIs are that similar.
But again, like you said, that even that mode has existed before,
right?
So
and that can get extrapolated way far back to any kind of like last player standing mode that has existed for decades. Like there are things that you could point to and say like, hey, the player counts weren't this, but this is basically this.
So all it would take is them winning one case. If they were to say, hey, this is our gameplay model, and let's say a court agreed with it, any other case afterwards would have a much easier time of
once one judgment got made.
Exactly.
Yeah. And it might even open the door to other games to try to do similar things to other competitors or something. But I just don't.
You don't think they could lock it down?
I really don't.
Also, even if the court ruled in their favor in Korea, I don't know how that affects things here.
Sure, that's also true.
I do have to point out that even the experts are weighing in on the state of PUBG. One Dr. Disrespect.
Fuck that guy.
I know he sucks. But he does say the game is slowly dying.
Well then, thank you.
Until they change the player mechanics and optimization, it's never going to succeed at the Fortnite level ever.
That same fucking dude is out there going, "Put me in your game."
Yeah, I know.
Fuck him, man. That's stupid.
But he is kind of like the face of that game on Twitch.
Is he?
Yes.
I thought he switched to Fortnite.
Oh, did he?
I assume he did.
Oh, wait. Maybe.
I mean, I don't know.
Huh.
Don't know. And
not an avid viewer, I have to say.
These bros ain't loyal.
Apparently he is going to be in PUBG.
They're putting him in.
Dr. Disrespect. PUBG skin confirmed after data leak.
That's sadder than the lawsuit.
Yeah. I don't necessarily see if he's fully switched over or whatever, but
yeah, it's really. I still prefer Battlegrounds to Fortnite.
Yeah, totally.
But at the end of the day, like I think I would have rather have seen them try to do more to the game. And whatever, that's not to say that they're all in on this lawsuit in lieu of updating the game.
Yeah.
But I think being out here with this lawsuit stuff, it really does seem like crazy desperation move sort of thing.
Yep. Yeah.
I feel like this makes me want to play the game less because this has a feeling of just like, oh, well, you guys got nothing. This is what you're up to, instead of just like working on the game and continually making it better, which, obviously they're doing that. They did their modes and all the other stuff. Yeah, I don't know. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah.
I am no lawyer again, but it's really hard for me to envision this happening at all based on how a lot of other lawsuits around game feel and all this other stuff, even in cases that were like way more dead to rights than this.
Trying to think of
dead to rights, but I feel like that Fighter's History case. And,
I guess, sure.
There were cases of like I'm trying to think if there were ever Pac-Man lawsuits, because I think that might be where a lot of the precedent was established around what you can copyright, what you can trademark when it comes to design and game feel and all that other stuff. Like by and large, the way was paved for clones of Pac-Man to exist.
What is a prominent Pac-Man clone?
I would say Ladybug. Like there were. There were plenty of ROM hacks and stuff like that existed that were just straight up bootlegs of Pac-Man.
Sure.
But Crush Roller, which is a game that SNK did, is a similar maze game. Slightly different mechanics, but much like as Space Invaders led to Galaxian, led to a lot of other games of that ilk, like the genres of arcade gaming at the time, you had the maze game on the heels of a game like Pac-Man, where you had suddenly a ton of other stuff doing that, Amador, like whatever else.
Side-scrolling beat-em-ups.
Yeah, right.
A lot of games of the same type.
Yeah. So I guess I don't have much more to say about it other than this whole thing seems ridiculous and it seems desperate and kind of makes me sad.
It does
as
sad.
As someone who has enjoyed a lot of Battlegrounds, like I just look at this and go like, oh, come on.
Yeah. Sad is kind of the word that came to mind for me. We'll see. If Korean courts move at the same pace as American ones, then maybe this whole Battle Royale craze will be over by the time we find out how this plays out.
They were making this noise back in like January or something, right?
Yeah.
So like it took them forever to get to this point.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. So there was kind of a form of this headline going around last week, and I sort of skipped over it. Sony basically briefed investors on kind of, in a vague way, the future of the PlayStation brand last week.
Right.
And their new head of PlayStation, John Codera, more or less, I mean, the headline that was going around is PlayStation moving into PS4 moving into final phase of its life.
Yeah.
Which a bunch of people immediately took to mean like, oh, they're announcing the PS5 at E3, and I'm like,
Jesus,
or it's coming out next year.
Yeah,
or, just like works. People, I definitely saw a fair amount of chatter from people thinking that meant that a new PlayStation is imminent. I assume enough of that got to Sony that they then decided to have him do a call with reporters shortly after. In which case he effectively came out and said that there will not be a new PlayStation for the next 3 years.
Right. I mean, the thing he said was, it was in the context of like profitability of network services and all this other stuff.
And I think
it was
also
saying like, hey, we are going, I think the phrasing was, this was not the phrasing, but I think the gist of it was, we are going back into the R&D trench to develop a new console.
Yeah. And I think sort of plateau of PS4 hardware sales played into this too. It's like, hey, it's kind of, we've hit our peak.
Yeah,
where the console sales are leveling out.
Yeah, we can cut price and get our spikes that way, but that's kind of where they're at in the cycle.
Right.
Sure.
And like historically, we expected this, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah. And the profitability goes down as they start spending a fuck ton of money on R&D for the next thing.
Yeah.
And the statement was more around, hey, we're hoping that we will offset a lot of that dip this time because now we have PlayStation Network doing so well. And it was also in the context of like, hey, PSVR sales aren't necessarily going to do this, and PlayStation View and some of these other things that they have out there. I think part of the statement was like, hey, PlayStation View has faced some challenges, which of course, I mean, it's like a streaming TV service. There are like a ton of those now.
Yeah. I think I saw the View just lost some channels. I forget which ones.
I think everyone is always kind of
I guess
gaining, losing
Sinclair
channels.
Network. They lost all those.
Yes.
No more Ring of Honor, I guess.
He basically came out and said this sort of cloud/services focus in the business will persist through the 2020 fiscal year.
Yeah,
which ends in March 2021. So you take that to mean holiday 2021 is when a PS5 would be out?
Well,
or would it be out in 2020?
What is the statement? Is it that the PS4 cycle will last at least until then, or is it we will not launch a console before then?
I don't have his literal quote in front of me. Sony said, this is also from a Polygon story, Sony said during its annual Investor Relations Day that it aims to employ the strategy in question through its 2020 fiscal year, which ends March 2021.
Well, remember that there's some overlap there. When they talk about the end of the PlayStation 4 cycle, that doesn't preclude them from launching a new console.
Yeah, that's sure.
Because there's always that 10-year life cycle, the ramp up, ramp down, and all that sort of stuff. And
especially if you're talking to investors, all they care about is how much they're going to get paid.
Exactly.
So we will have these services generating revenue even as we're launching a console, which may not immediately.
And if you look at the profitability stuff, because there were some slides alongside this, some other stuff alongside this in terms of like the hit they took launching the PS3 and how long it took them to get back to profitability, and how much shorter that dip was for the launch of the PlayStation 4. So they've gotten, the PlayStation 4 really rocketed out of the gate, like they did pretty well. But you also look at them going like, hey, we've got all these services lined up that are going to offset that dip even more. Yeah. You could envision a scenario where they launch a new PlayStation of some kind, and they don't actually go into the red to do it.
Right.
Depends on what they're researching and what they're developing, I guess.
Sure.
But
I'm glad they're taking their time. We're seeing diminishing returns on, new console hardware, as of late. If they want to just to dig a hole in the trench and just make something like so much better, take their time with it. I don't think we need to stick to the strict life cycles.
It's crazy
anymore.
to me. I keep seeing like there was a shot going around of Matrick with the Xbox One at the announcement a week or two ago saying like 5 years ago today, this. And I'm like, really?
And everybody's like, oh, God, I guess it's time for a new console.
Well, that's the
now.
thing.
Yeah.
Like in the old model back in the day,
Yeah.
5 years, like a new console would be launching this holiday.
Right.
This holiday will be 5 years, and they tended to be about 5 years apart.
yeah, but
back in the day.
Well, the 360 lasted.
Well, that's what I
longer,
mean. That
but
was the
yeah.
first one to break the trend,
Yeah.
and then as people have speculated, a lot of people have. I don't know. There seems to be some hunger on message boards out there for a new console.
Oh, sure.
Oh yeah,
Always.
Oh, yeah. That's
Like
of course.
some people have kind of tried to tell this story. They're like, they're getting back to the rapid iteration. There will be a new PS5. Well, those stories were floating around. Like, dev kits are going out,
Sure. Yeah.
and kind of nonsense like that. But,
That doesn't. Yeah,
but like, I guess where I'm going with this is it doesn't feel time to me yet.
Right.
Like it would feel incredibly premature to me.
Well, what would you do?
Yeah.
You could release a more powerful box, and it feels like that we still need the leap forward on the graphics tech end.
Yeah.
It feels like that hasn't quite happened yet, whether it's like, hey, here's the, where's the 11 series cards? Where's like kind of the next set of NVIDIA cards and like the AMD follow-ups, and where's that stuff going to fall? How expensive will that stuff be?
Yeah.
Because there have been rumors about 11 series cards hitting this year, right?
Yeah.
I feel like
I
that's
think back around like March, I kept hearing people say like, it's getting announced next week, or I bet it'll be out next month, and
right.
stuff like
yeah,
that.
We'd have a new console if it wasn't for all those damn Bitcoin miners.
That's right.
Yeah.
It's jamming up the power grid.
yeah.
You see, like, there's stories going around about like people renting out apartments and then going
Man.
like the utility company, like the power company has to come out because like of insane power usage, and like they get into the apartment and it's just an empty apartment full of certain like
Farm,
rack
yeah.
mounts
Yeah.
of servers.
Used to be you'd find weed in there,
Right.
Yeah.
on grow lights. Now,
Yeah.
Something more
the
valuable.
new weed,
Digital weed.
the D weed. Yeah, it's man. Yeah, so I guess I feel like if you were. If they were going to announce a console this year, what would it even be?
Yeah.
Like the
Another
other
half step,
the
you
other
know?
tech stuff hasn't happened yet to
Yeah.
justify it.
Yeah.
Or like the next like tech stuff. Obviously, they've got new graphics cards designed. They probably know what their next generation is going to be, where it'll fall, all that other stuff. And I'm sure they're communicating that to their partners, or trying to sell it to Sony, trying to sell it to Microsoft, whoever's in the market for graphics parts. That would make sense. But I feel like we're normally, if you look at how the cycles go, wasn't it always that like, hey, the PC is going to have to leap out forward again, and then the consoles kind of catch up? I feel like that was always the way.
Especially now that the consoles are just using PC
Right.
derivative parts, basically.
Yeah. And so you need to have the high end stuff hit the PC so that you can do the power reasonable, clocked down, mainstream priced variants of those for a console.
Sure.
Or at least like the last generation, or what we call the current generation of graphics hardware would have to get cheaper in a way that would make it make sense to step up.
Yeah.
Right.
It
It just doesn't feel like we're there yet.
It doesn't feel like we're there, and I only know half the story when it comes to this graphics shit, all the tech end of it.
Yeah.
But it still feels like we're just not quite there.
And
yet.
also just like on the game end, to me, like I'm pretty happy with what these consoles are putting out right now. Like
they
I
haven't
would,
squeezed all the life out.
yeah,
yet.
especially with these new revisions. I know they still have to make games work on both, but like
God of War looks really good.
Yeah.
I feel like we're just now entering, and that's the thing that the Xbox One X and the Pro have done, is they've pushed that out a little bit, a year or two, to where now it feels like we're hitting that stride of like, all right, let's see some games.
yeah, if these half-step machines had not come out, I could see see
dude.
the hunger for new machines definitely.
If
being
there were still people out there on a baseline Xbox One, Microsoft would be like, all right, here's our window.
Yeah.
If anything, you wonder if like, man, like, does the presence of the Xbox One X prevent them from moving on as quickly as they might like to?
Yeah.
So I'm sure there's probably at least
yeah.
some appetite to want to move away from this generation and try to push reset and go like, hey,
they would like to wipe the slate, I'm sure.
We've made a console for gaming for people who like video games.
Yeah. And it's cheap.
That's the whole message.
I don't know what the other guys are going to charge, but ours is going to be cheaper.
Right. I don't know. But yeah, people out there saying new hardware at E3, that doesn't... Anything can happen, I guess, but that doesn't line up with anything.
Yeah, definitely not.
But what do you think it is? Like, it's probably... We start hearing loose talk, GDC-ish, E3-ish next year.
Yeah,
that window of just like, they're working on it. Maybe they haven't necessarily briefed developers yet, but there's a little bit out there.
Maybe a code name gets out or something.
Yeah. And then maybe you do a reveal late next year and launch in 2020.
Yeah, maybe. Or do the reveal early in the same year.
Sure.
Or something.
Yeah.
There's always those loose lips at GDC.
Yep. Hopefully we'll start hearing stuff next year. They properly announced Battlefield 5 and talked about it. It's World War II.
They waited until Memorial Day and then launched a campaign on the tagline like, forget what you learned in your history books.
Yikes. I did not see that.
Like, fucking, what are you doing?
Huh. That's interesting. I missed that one. But it's Battlefield. It's World War II. They're doing the same campaign thing they did in Battlefield 1, which is just kind of a series of vignettes set throughout the war, which I assume will kind of be tutorials for the multiplayer. That stuff sounds cool. Like the one scenario I saw outlined is I'm trying to find it. It's a young girl in the Resistance. I want to say in Norway. Yes, Norwegian girl in the Resistance against the occupying Nazis. So so like going to different scenarios, different people in different walks of life. That stuff sounds neat. I never played the Battlefield 1 story stuff. I don't know how well that worked, but
I didn't much care for it. I
guess
it felt very tutorial-y.
Yeah, I guess it's hard to get attached to characters if you're only spending a short period of time with them. But I don't know.
It was effective for what they were trying to do.
For for a war that broad, I feel like hitting on a bunch of different hotspots is
now I'm the tank man. Yeah.
A bunch of new modes. I mean, whatever. I doubt anybody here is a big enough Battlefield fan to really dig deep into the multiplayer changes, but
I at least like that they're doing something different. Like, when you think about, hey, we're making a World War II game, like that kind of starts to check a lot of boxes in terms of like how it should look and sound and all this other stuff. And so at least they're doing something. I don't need a super authentic, I don't need Normandy, like that sort of stuff.
I mean, Battlefield 1942, people like bouncing themselves on the wings of planes taking off and stuff. Like Battlefield has never been incredibly realistic.
Yeah, but in terms of just like the look of it and stuff, there were some people that were definitely like, oh, this art style or kind of how you have the characters look. We're trying to like put that out there. Like, I actually think that stuff looks fine.
Yeah.
And they've said no premium pass type stuff.
Probably the big story is,
and no loot boxes.
Yeah. So maps and weapons and stuff are all free, which I mean, it's kind of the way multiplayer games are going. Even Battlefront 2 was doing the same thing. Like it's kind of hard to see a downside there, right? They said flat out nothing that affects like gameplay progression will be for pay.
Cool.
Yeah. It sounds like it's pretty much all cosmetics and stuff that you can either grind for or pay real money.
And it sounds like you'll be able to choose what you want in those cases as
they
well.
Also, they said
it's not like
no random drop boxes.
Yeah. Huh.
So they felt the sting last year.
Yeah.
They knew better than to try to follow that up.
Right. And I wonder if I'd be interested in hearing like what their internal projections are as far as like, are they looking at it as like, this game's going to take a hit financially
from Battlefront?
Because we had to take all this stuff out because of the climate around microtransactions and stuff. We had to back off, and there will be like this. We'll just write it off as like, this is a brand building year. We're going to do right by the fans.
You think there's enough
and
overlap?
Then maybe next year we'll get it.
Think there's enough overlap between Battlefront and Battlefield audiences?
Yeah, totally.
For that to
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
But also just in terms of just like other games in the field, just the climate has changed for microtransactions.
Yeah.
So, they eventually came to the decision on Battlefront where they never put them back in. and they revamped their whole progression. Like I reading it over, and I launched that game and looked at the menus like I think last week, and it didn't necessarily strike me as like awesome, but it didn't have purchasable boxes, I guess.
Yeah.
So they came to that conclusion there, whereas initially they said like we're going to put this back in at a later date.
Yeah.
They eventually said like actually no, and now here they are saying not only are we not going to do loot boxes, we're not going to sell you maps either.
Yeah.
And
so you're just kind of saying maybe cosmetics are not going to make up the difference,
right?
Maybe they're just
or
they know what they're getting into.
I wonder. I wonder if they've really found ways to get aggressive about the cosmetics, you know, and being upfront about what they are and what you're paying for and all other stuff. But if they're going to be very heavy-handed in promoting them, or like, hey, like super, like there's gonna be a ton of them or something like that, and that's how they and can that make up the gap?
I don't know.
Or are they actually going into this saying the climate has changed? We don't have a great answer for how to make up that gap, but we know that people will probably be happier with the game if we don't try to half step it and try to do the loot box thing still.
That would be the right thing to do.
Let's peel it all back,
yeah,
make the fans happy, and then punt this a year, and then next year we'll figure out what the actual new microtransaction strategy is.
Try to calm down investors.
Either it'll be this, or either it'll be this, or it'll be, you know, or something else, or if this works this year.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, you always hear about stuff like Overwatch doing incredibly well with cosmetics, but I don't know if that translates to like a Battlefield more realistic setting.
Yeah, well, that's the thing is, and I think that's where some of the people have taken issue with the look, and whatever, they're basing it off like some short fucking trailer. And not much info beyond that, but you have people freaking out about the look of the characters. That's not the only thing they're freaking out about, but that's some fucking dumb shit for a different day. Fucking God. But then you have them kind of falling back on like, no, it's not about that. It's about the look of it. And you're like, okay.
The look of what in particular?
Right. But I think it does kind of, now they have to walk a different line in terms of like, well, they're not going to make this super reverent looking World War II game because they want to sell cosmetics. So they have to at least have a lot of different looks. And will that get too weird for people? So I'm at a point where I actually think if they should go super weird with it, and say, oh yeah, I mean it's set in World War II, but not the World War II you know. And some of that, like, and some of that tagline or some of what they're putting out there and saying, like, almost hints in that direction. And you're like, oh, I wonder if they actually just are going to go all out and go like, hey, look, this is set in that conflict, but not in the timeline that you and I know as history.
Yeah,
let's have some fun.
I want a Red Baron Snoopy outfit.
Sure, why not?
Yeah.
But at the same time, I feel like a lot of people, like, as much as I'm like, yeah, why not? If they'd done that with Battlefield 1, I think it would have been more like, fuck you guys. Like, this is, because people were, I feel like there was a lot more outrage about the Battlefield 1 setting and how they marketed it and all that other stuff, like the animated GIFs of people on fire and just all that other dumb shit they did along the way for that game. We'll see, I guess. I don't know. There's really not enough information to actually, we don't have the full picture, but looking at it now, it
seems like a weird fit for that game and that audience, but
yeah,
but we will see.
I think they got to do something.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Sure.
Like again, like here's
definitely can't do what they were doing.
Like personally, here's our super realistic World War II game, but it's still Battlefield, so it's actually not realistic. It just means the uniforms look real. Like, I don't even fucking care.
Yeah,
I just can't anymore. Even, you know, your super realistic Call of Duty World War II is just like, here's the St. Patrick's Day event.
Yeah.
Unlock your St. Patrick's Day cosmetics. Like, they don't give a shit.
If they were calling it Battlefield 1944, let's say, then I could maybe see those expectations making a little more sense. But the way they're going with it,
What if they called it Battlefield 1942-2?
I mean, fucking do whatever you want with your big game. Just give me that on the side.
What if they called it Battlefield 19XX?
Just I don't know, man. Like
XDX.
Turn on servers for 43 again or something. I just want to play Wake Island. I just want to run the aircraft carrier into the island again.
They're the 360 Battlefield 43.
Is it?
It's backwards compatible.
Is it still up?
You can download it on Xbox One.
And
if that game's multiplayer only, then
Okay, I should look into that. I could have sworn I thought I saw that.
I was searching for Battlefield stuff in the Xbox store yesterday,
Okay.
and 1940 that downloadable
That's good
one
to know.
for 360 came up.
Okay.
So I assume that's backwards compatible,
I did not know that. Okay.
and I would assume that means it still works.
I'll have to look into that.
Yeah.
Week or two ago, I think it was 2 weeks ago, we were talking about Valve having announced Steam Link for mobile.
Oh yeah, I
which
gotta get
was
that.
super cool. Well, you can, because it came out on Android.
Wait, I did get it.
How is it?
I don't think I've tried it out yet.
Try it out right now. Get back to us.
Okay.
It did not come out on iOS. Apple blocked it from the App Store. Yeah.
Why though?
Valve.
Phil Schiller gave some quotes.
Yes. Unfortunately I need to pull that up. I did see those.
Steam Link open.
I did see those quotes. I mean, initially, what Valve said was that Apple had cited business conflicts with app guidelines that. So it passed review to begin with.
Right.
Apple initially approved it.
Valve's timeline was we submitted it, it got approved, we put out a press release. They said, "Wait, you're doing what?"
Yeah.
Which sounds like the app review team went, "Sure," and then like a business person went, "Wait."
Conflicts with app guidelines that had allegedly not been realized by the original review team.
Yeah.
Conflicts such as like the management of the company said no.
Yeah,
Why?
that's
Perhaps.
because Apple wants a cut.
I know.
Because Apple wants their cut. They don't want a separate game store on their game store.
Because presumably you'd be able to buy and play games in this app.
I would assume.
I assume that is which is probably ridiculous because anybody who is going to set this thing up can just go to their PC and buy the game and play it that way anyway.
Sure.
Right.
Which is how Amazon got around Apple's restrictions before with the Kindle app, is at some point.
And Comixology.
Because, Apple was like, fuck you. You can't sell books in your app. We sell books.
Yeah.
We want our cut of your books. And Amazon was like, no. And so they just took out the ability to buy books. And then I don't know where that stands now, if they ever resolved it or where.
I think it's still the case. With Comixology anyway, yeah. Oh, no, iOS can't buy books, but Android.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, Phil Schiller got out there. Said, we would love for Valve's games and services to be on iOS and Apple TV.
Please give us 30%.
Yes, we've discussed these issues with Valve and will continue to work with them to help bring the Steam experience to those platforms. If they get their cut. I don't know. We'll see.
Damn it.
I mean, maybe if they just took the ability to buy the games out of the app.
Right.
I saw people pointing out you can already buy games in the existing Steam app, but you can't play them.
That's right. Yeah.
So it's not a one-stop
I've done
shop.
that.
Like, could you? It was a separate app, right?
Yeah.
It's not the Steam app. It is a separate
It's not an
Steam
upgrade
Link
of the Steam app. It's a Steam Link app, I think.
Okay.
I guess I don't know.
Yeah.
But how they were going to implement it. But my understanding is it was a separate app launch.
I hope they work this out. It would be nice to have. It's not something I would use all the time, but it could come in handy.
It might be neat.
Here
I
and
don't
there.
know.
Like
I would
right.
love to try it.
Yeah, you were out the week that we talked about it, but like if you could play Into the Breach on your iPad,
Sure.
streamed from your PC, because like it took them like 2 years to port FTL or something.
Right.
If I could do that way sooner, I would be super stoked. But who knows? Hopefully they'll work it out.
Yeah, there's tons of different ways to get different controllers hooked up to this guy.
Yeah, it had.
But man, playing Into the Breach with like touchscreen controls.
Yeah, I hope
okay.
I hope they figure that stuff out with the mouse compatibility.
My gut reaction is that this is now never going to happen. Is that this actually doesn't get worked out?
When I first saw the Schiller quotes yesterday, I was like, maybe they'll figure it out. But then reading it again, like, we will continue to work with Valve. Like
that just sounds like Apple saying, yes, you can do this if you give this.
Here are our terms.
Like, this is the cut we want.
Yeah.
It's the same cut that we charge everybody else for this sort of stuff.
Agree to this.
And I could see Valve very much being in the boat of going, no.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. Totally.
Because that is the only reason Valve issues a public statement at that point and doesn't continue to work behind the scenes and doesn't say, hey, we've hit a delay. It's coming out on Android.
Yeah.
We're working on it.
Yeah.
Instead, it's very much like, here's exactly what happened.
Here's what they said.
Here's what they said.
Let them know what you think.
Yes, please write to Apple and tell them that you don't like it.
Yeah.
Like,
Valve's pretty big. I mean, Apple is insanely big, but Valve is not a small company with no influence.
Right.
When
the Steam phone comes out,
they could afford to play a little hardball.
And then you start to wonder, like, was part of this the reason why suddenly a bunch of games with potential nudity
Yes.
or sexual elements is, because I think one of the other reasons they cited was around like content restrictions and stuff.
Sure.
So is this what caused Valve to spring into emergency ban games mode?
Yeah.
To try to pass this review or re-review or something. Like, what the fuck is really going on? Like, it's
that all does seem very convenient to have happened at the same time.
if only Valve was actually like regularly transparent about Steam and what they were doing instead of just choosing transparency when it suits them in this matter with Apple.
Yeah.
Maybe things would have gone a little differently.
Yeah, I saw tweets going around saying like, I was like, oh, hey Valve, you got penalized for
how's
not,
it feel?
not abiding
how's
by
it feel
the
to have this happen to you for a change?
Yeah, right.
Instead of being the ones doing it. Yes.
I hope they fix it. That would be a nice thing to have.
Yes, that would be a nice thing to have. That stuff's a hassle.
Yes. Nintendo is putting out a dockless Switch in Japan.
Yeah.
For
cheaper,
roughly $250.
Okay.
It's just a Switch, right and left Joy-Cons and straps. No charger. Which apparently kind of standard in Japan.
Yeah. Yeah, remember all the DSs and stuff like didn't come with a
that's
charger.
right, yeah.
Well, actually that started trickling down over here, right? Didn't the new the new 3DS thing?
That
was the name of it, right? Fucking the new 3DS wasn't that the name of it?
XL.
Yeah. Like that thing had no charger here. So I guess they're starting to bring that over here.
I believe that's right.
Is this across the board, or is it like a store exclusive?
I think
it's an online thing.
I
thought it was just
from
from there.
them.
Yeah,
I think you get it
like
from
a
them.
direct order.
And I think you can do the whole customize your Joy-Con colors and all that stuff.
Ooh.
Which I imagine at that point you can also say, also send me a power adapter.
Yeah. It'll probably just cost you extra, which it's kind of crazy because
you don't need a special power adapter though. Just need a
the
USB-C.
Switch is pretty weird about chargers, actually.
Oh,
Yeah.
I use some generic ass stuff.
A
And
lot of stuff works, but apparently some stuff does not work.
Right.
And some stuff
and
really doesn't work.
Will actually damage your Switch.
Yeah.
Great.
So
Great.
It's all.
you might want to look up the thing you're using to charge your Switch and see
Yeah.
if people have done the research to see if it's got the right stuff in it.
Awesome.
It's all pretty nebulous, but it sounds like the Switch maybe has some sort of non-compliant behavior around like USB-C charging.
I thought that
and
was
stuff.
with through the dock, but
the dock has some weird display
Yeah.
stuff too. I guess they kind of went off the reservation on.
No, I
some
thought
of
it was power through the dock.
I'm not sure.
In particular.
Yeah. Switchchargers.com has a whole lot of information about that stuff. But yeah, like the prices kind of line up with what we have over here, which is to say the full set is $300 and this thing is like $250-ish, even though that dock package is still what, $90?
$90.
Like you're not saving anywhere near the amount of money that you would be if you bought all this stuff.
Well, they got to put it
piecemeal.
in a package.
I
They got to
guess.
ship you the dock.
I guess.
They got to shine it up real nice for you.
I mean, even if you buy a power adapter, it's still going to be cheaper.
It's $40 of white glove service getting that dock to you.
Sure. It's nice probably for households with already a Switch and multiple people that want to play them.
Sure.
You don't need an extra dock, let's say. Just want another console.
I wonder if it might even be reasonable to get one with no dock and then someday assume the dock price will go down.
Yeah. Or, they go on sale sometimes. I wish I had bought one. I saw them on Amazon for like $60 at one point.
No, just dock kits?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it was like a one-day sale or something. I wish I had gotten one.
Like the official original one?
Like the actual dock. At this point, I'm too skittish to use anything else.
Yeah.
I'm really
I think I said
paranoid.
before, but we got a third party sent us a dock in the mail, and I was like, "Oh, this might be handy to have around." And I never opened it, and now I never will.
There's just enough scuttlebutt out there that it's kind of terrifying. Plus, there are those kits out there now. You can pay like $12 for just an enclosure for like a travel dock that the circuit board from the original Nintendo dock fits into. So you can just kind of open it up and transfer the hardware over.
Oh, cool.
I'm not going to do that.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's a hassle. It's a hassle. But if you could get one cheap enough, it would be kind of cool. Anyway, I don't know if this reduced package will come out over here or not. Like Japan already had like Joy-Con customization options that we don't.
Oh,
This
that's
sounds
right.
like something that shows up on Nintendo's eBay shop as like refurbished Switch, no dock, or something like that, because they sell a ton of hardware over there.
Oh, do they?
Yeah,
Weird. On eBay.
yeah. Like a lot of the refurb stuff is
I did not know that.
is sold there.
Weird. Huh. I also I immediately thought about the exploitable Switch hardware.
Sure.
Tegra
sure,
chip with
yeah.
that bug or the whatever the exploit in it. Kind of makes you wonder if they're just trying to clear out their stock as fast as they can.
Oh, huh.
so they can
Right.
get a revised thing out there.
Yeah.
Sunset Overdrive was rated for PC by the Korean Ratings Board.
That's gonna look good on PC.
Yeah, that game looks good and would be nice to play in 60 FPS. It's got good splashy art.
Mm-hmm.
But also,
This is just the title. Like, we don't have any other info besides that it was rated over there.
yeah, but I mean,
Okay.
it's probably reasonably
Seems like it would be.
sure
Yeah,
that it's real.
I would play anywhere.
But
Well,
that's an old ass game
mm-hmm.
to suddenly bring out on PC.
What are their motives?
Unless, yeah, we got to talking about this when
Yeah.
this news came out. It seems like such a minor throwaway thing, but then
Unless your strategy is back catalog,
Yeah.
Xbox One games,
Yeah.
all coming to PC,
Yeah.
all part of Game Pass,
Yes. all out today.
all out today.
Yeah, as Phil Spencer stands on a stage at E3 saying,
Sure.
"Hey, Halo the Master Chief Collection, Halo 5, Sunset
Right.
Overdrive, all our first party stuff now on PC
Yeah.
today." Who knows? That's
Sounds like
kind
a
of pie.
pretty safe
It's kind of
bet.
pie in the sky stuff, but maybe not.
It doesn't see like because I think the other thing we started running down was like, what's the actual list of games of Xbox One first party
Like
published
new games.
exclusive games
yeah.
that you would do this for? And it seems
Oh,
like
yeah.
that list
Yeah.
is
Those three,
those three.
like going back to I mean, yeah, because like at the
Local
launch,
Cycle, you said Local Cycle.
Local Cycle. Like Rise came out on PC, Dead Rising 3 came out on PC.
Right.
Killer Instinct.
Yeah,
Killer
came out on
Instinct.
PC.
So like first party Xbox exclusives that haven't already made it to PC. It's like those three.
Crimson
and,
Sky. No, not
Yeah.
Crimson Skies.
Dragon.
What's the Dragon game?
Crimson Dragon.
Crimson
Yeah,
Dragon.
yeah, you're right. There are a handful of like
That golf game.
downloadable, launch games and some stuff like that. Zoo Tycoon.
Zoo Tycoon.
Actually, that would be
Oh
kind of
man.
Sure.
That's maybe not the worst thing to get on PC. Yeah, so all right, fine. There are some other games to fill in around the edges, but it's not a huge list of
But
games.
those
but
might be the three in terms of like what's, and maybe we're missing one that's super obvious.
Yeah.
But
okay, and this is a big if, but if they fixed the Master Chief Collection, like being able to say like, hey, every Halo ever made now on PC.
And it's fixed.
Well, let's hope.
I know.
it's
Like
never
that-
been on PC, so they don't have to fix it there.
Oh,
It'll just
sure.
launch good.
Like that's not a bad story to tell, right?
Sure.
Well, I guess Reach isn't in there. It's not quite every.
Oh,
But it's a lot of them, you
It's
know.
a lot of them.
It's
yeah.
a lot of
Maybe
Halo
they do
games.
Reach.
A lot of Halo games available on PC. Like that, I don't know, whatever. We're getting way off script here, but that's kind of like that's like up there with backwards compatibility in terms of it just being kind of a feel good thing to have for people.
It makes the Game Pass stuff a little bit more enticing
Yeah.
for PC players as well.
Mhm.
It further undercuts the reason to buy an Xbox One if you have a solid PC.
Yeah.
But
they seem fine
I
with
feel
that.
like they've made it pretty clear that that's not a
Yeah.
problem for them.
Yeah. Like if they just want to sell you services and games, like that's
Right.
probably fine with them.
Mhm.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, that's not going to.
It's like there are older Forzas and stuff that would be that we're
Oh,
not
yeah,
we're not
Forza-
considering here,
Forza,
but also Forza, the last Forza Horizon and the last Forza Motorsport.
That's right. But did
We're on
Horizon
PC.
2 come out on Xbox One, or was that
You're right.
360?
Yeah.
So
no,
like Horizon
yeah.
2, like there are a few other games now that I think about it. Yeah, it's not going to blow the doors off the press conference if that's what they announce, but it's a cool little extra to have.
When I think about like what they did last year and kind of just where they seem like they're at in the grand scheme
Yeah.
of things, like it seems like the adaptive controller, like a lot of the stuff that they've been doing over the last year or two has really just been like solidifying the foundation of their gaming efforts and
Unifying everything.
unifying everything, building their brand,
Mhm.
to whatever, the missing piece is exciting new software.
Yeah.
Big, huge, mainstream, splashy stuff. Sony went the prestige route with the single player stuff.
Yeah.
The Xbox brand was traditionally, I feel like it's the shooter console. It's the online console. It's you get on the internet and shoot people.
Yep.
And
Sure.
and those games haven't been as fast to come to Xbox One. And I feel like that's led to kind of an identity crisis on the software end of the Xbox.
Yeah, sure.
Like
Okay.
I've been thinking about it going into E3. Like,
Yeah.
like what the fuck is the Xbox brand these days?
Sony's kind of got both because, like
And-
you said, they've got the big, like critically acclaimed first party stuff, but then they've also got the exclusive Call of Duty content
yeah, but that
and the Destiny stuff. Like
sure,
they've kind of got the shooters and the
But I think
highfalutin stuff.
Once you get into the third-party stuff, everyone has all that stuff. Like it's a relatively minor difference.
Yeah, getting it a month early or
that's cool.
Three extra guns or whatever.
That's not nothing. Yeah. But all that stuff comes everywhere. So if you start looking at it in terms of like pure differentiation of just like what's a thing I can get here that I literally cannot get, it starts to become stuff like Game Pass. It starts to be stuff like, caring about alternative control schemes with the adaptive controller and backwards compatibility, and like the story on the Microsoft end is strong.
Yeah.
Now it's almost just like they need to launch a new console and push reset and just like go like, all right, this one's got the games now too.
Launch lineup for this thing is amazing.
Halo
6 coming to the next Xbox.
Oh God, could you imagine?
Man, that would be.
Could you imagine if that's how it went?
Huh?
Gosh, that would be truly bizarre.
I hope they've got games. Like all this stuff sounds amazing if they came through on all this stuff, but they've got to have some other stuff. Some games on top of everything else.
Some games. It's the thing that it's the most powerful console.
Yeah.
And if you start to have the game argument, I'm sure Microsoft would love to have that argument because they would say, oh, well, it plays hundreds more games than the competition because it plays all these 360 games. Also, all of these third-party games are here too.
Yeah.
And
it's $10 a month to play all of it.
And it just becomes this tip of the spear subset of a subset of a subset of first party games that have mattered more than maybe they should. I don't know. It's like the value of pure exclusives. What is it in today's market?
Yeah.
That's the question. I think Sony is coming to different conclusions around that than Microsoft has been. That's what it feels like anyway.
Sure. Well, Microsoft's tried and some stuff has not worked out. Like,
I guess you're right.
If you hadn't had that like infamous,
they placed bets.
Yeah, what was it, 2014 or 2015? People
went
back and looked, and it's like, oh, all of these games either got canceled or came out broken or
like severely delayed.
Yeah,
Crackdown will still ship someday.
Yes,
in theory.
Like they've gone for it in some ways that did not pan out.
I guess so.
Yeah.
E3, man.
Yeah, like to me, though, that's the stakes at play at E3 is just like what's the future of the Xbox brand, and how much does
like it's like steering an aircraft carrier, right? Like Phil Spencer came into this like kind of rough situation and is
grabbed a fire extinguisher,
slowly turning the ship, but not quite there yet. Like close to completing that process, but like what's the last piece?
But the process has been building that foundation.
Yeah,
and now what?
Yeah, now that you have a better platform, how do you execute?
And can they ever execute in a way? Well, whatever. It's we've talked to them every year at E3 for the past few years now, and I feel like they've stayed the course in their messaging. They've at least been consistent on the idea of just like they focus on their shit.
Yeah, he tells a good story every year.
Yeah. Which if the sales disparity was there the way it is, that's exactly how you have to frame it. It's like, hey, we're focusing on ourselves over here.
Yeah,
but they've done it. They've focused on themselves and they've come a long way. And now it's like, okay, now the two things are more games and also make the dashboard more responsive. For the love of God, I turned it on. I was trying to discern if I had Battlefield 1 installed on the Xbox One or not, and loaded up my games and apps, and it showed the list of games I had installed almost immediately. But then the list of games I could install that I owned licenses to, and the list of games that needed patches and updates, that thing spun for probably like 10 minutes and never filled in.
Wow. Yeah, I've seen some stuff like that before, sure.
And it was just like, what?
And even just like launching the console, the front dashboard screen you get to, like that cursor does not respond super well for the first 30 seconds or so. Like, what is going on here?
And so, like, I was trying to do what seemed like a relatively simple operation of just like, do I own this game on Xbox?
Yeah.
I think I own Battlefield 1 on Xbox, and I want to see if I own it along with the premium pass. Because I checked, I did have a PS4 copy, but it didn't have the maps. And I was like, well, I kind of, with all this Battlefield 5 stuff, maybe I want to check this out. And so I'm sitting there waiting for this thing to fill in. The console was already on and powered. It wasn't booting up cold. And eventually I was like, well, wait a minute. If I go to the store and search, will that be a way to get to it? Because it'll tell me, it'll say install instead of buy. And then I got there. And then by that point, they had issued a bundle of Battlefield 1 stuff, and I could buy that. And then when I got to just like, hey, Battlefield 1, it said this game is not for sale because they're only selling the bundle now. And so I couldn't even determine if I owned it or not. Looking at that thing, it was just ambiguous enough to where I'm just like, and
then you forget what your breadcrumb trail is. So when you go back, you end up where you don't think you're going to be. And
so I turned on the PS4 and started patching Battlefield 1 there.
They've been giving out some of those map packs for,
they
on
have.
the PS4 version for free.
And so I started that update. It said it was going to take 100 minutes, and I said, fuck it. I'm just done. Like, I've reached the limit of me caring about Battlefield.
Yeah.
I'll start this patch, and then maybe a month later I'll remember to look at it. I don't know. It's all bad.
Consoles.
Technology. It's killing us.
Yes.
Someday.
In so many ways. I almost made an inappropriate segue there, but I'll be respectful.
Thank you.
And say that the co-founder of Atari has passed away. Ted Dabney.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Co-founded Atari with Nolan Bushnell.
Right.
I don't think maybe I've heard his name at some point, but he's not.
Alongside, yeah.
Like Nolan Bushnell, definitely the guy you
yes.
hear about in relation to Atari. But
I believe Dabney was bought out relatively early.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bought out or pushed out, depending on who you listen to, apparently.
You know, they had to buy him out on the push anyway, I'm sure. So
the story he tells, according to this article, is that Bushnell effectively came to him and said, well, whatever, he used some business manipulation to convince him to sell his shares in the company.
Yeah.
Which sounds kind of rotten. He almost sounds like almost kind of like the Steve Jobs, Steve Wozniak dichotomy, where he was the analog electronics guy to Bushnell's business and maybe some game design kind of savvy, but he was the guy who knew how to like build hardware that could talk to a TV and stuff like that. He passed away at 81.
81.
Went on to work for some other electronics companies doing similar stuff. Worked on the arcade adaptation of Space War.
Oh, okay.
Which I didn't know existed.
Yeah.
Anyway, like he was there at the beginning.
Right.
Like, pretty much as seminal as you get in this industry. Condolences to his family.
Yeah.
All right. That's it for news. You guys want to take another quick break?
Sure.
Right,
yeah.
Let's break one more time and we'll read some emails. One more newsy kind of thing I forgot to mention.
Oh.
It's newsy.
Is it breaking?
News-esque.
I don't know. I don't think the actual news has broken yet, but they are teasing it on Bethesda's Twitch channel, which is currently running a test pattern that says, please stand by.
Like the Fallout
stuff.
Looks a lot like Fallout. Oh, also there's a bobblehead of Vault Boy.
Okay.
There.
Okay.
What?
In the shot.
Yeah.
So.
No indication of a countdown or anything like that?
No. Just stand by. Last I saw on Twitter just a moment ago that 140,000 people are currently watching it.
Somebody's just accidentally streaming that test pattern.
You think
going,
shit! You think they're just going to run that right up to E3? Well, they'll probably need that channel for something else at some point, right?
It's an awful lot of lead time.
I think it would be pretty funny if they just ran that stream for 2 weeks.
Yep.
But who can say?
Any music?
I didn't actually pull up the real stream. I could look right now.
Are test patterns like that supposed to be in color? I thought they were supposed to be black and white.
It's the style of it is old enough that it would be. I feel like it would be black and white.
TVs weren't always in color, Jen.
What?
Yep.
Yeah.
For real.
Nope. Shut up, ad. All right. I'll tell you in like 30 seconds if there's any sound or not.
Cool.
Any guesses?
Fallout
Shelter
music. 2.
Yeah.
It's out now. You can download.
Trap music.
I played more Fallout Shelter than I should have.
Agreed.
The game was almost okay.
I played that during that E3, and
it's like a live cam pointing at a TV.
Yeah, it's an actual shot.
I saw someone saying this morning that it was not a loop.
Okay, it's a live shot.
Yeah,
there does not appear to be any sound at all.
Let me look. Let me see.
They could 145,000 viewers now. They could send this chat into fits if somebody just happened to walk onto the shot for a second.
Yeah, that's the fun.
It'd be fun to just mess with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the fun of like a live thing, and also like the nature of humanity to a certain extent is just like people don't want to miss a thing.
Yeah. It's an event.
Watch this thing just in case I was there.
Yeah.
Maybe we should just point a camera at a feed of Giant Bomb
Okay.
Infinite
Okay.
with some bobbleheads and stuff.
All right.
Okay.
Occasionally walk in front of it.
I did not think of this, I'll admit, but I saw it suggested maybe like a Fallout 3 remaster or something. Some kind of like Fallout 3 on Switch.
Oh, huh.
Fallout 3 / New Vegas collection on new consoles, like something of that nature. Seems way too soon for any kind of actual new Fallout.
Yeah, absolutely. But
I saw.
Yeah,
I
I
saw.
wonder what else.
What if it's New Vegas 2?
I
What
saw-
if another team has been doing
I also
a Fallout game?
Well, it's probably not Obsidian. I saw people hitting
Yeah.
up Josh Sawyer on Twitter today saying, "Please tell me you're making another Fallout over there."
Yeah.
And he was like, "Sorry, no." So not that. I don't know.
It could. What if it's just a? Well, no. If it was just the test pattern, I would say it's just a please stand by for their press conference, and that's the please stand by card that that company is known for.
Sure.
Yep.
Because Fallout has that kind of built in, and it doesn't necessarily indicate new Fallout material. Putting the bobbleheads in front of it kind of makes that different.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah. Could still come to nothing, but I hope it's something fun.
Yeah, well, if you were doing this, if you were doing this, hopefully it would be more than ports of existing Fallout games to different consoles.
Yeah.
Switch, PS4, whatever you got.
At the same time, I bet those Skyrim re-releases have done very well.
Sure.
So
No, yeah, I'm not saying don't do them.
yeah, just
I'm
don't make a
saying
big deal
that
out of
like
it.
this might be overkill
Yeah,
if
sure.
the reveal is
Sure.
a remake
Yeah.
of a game.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah,
That would be a little underwhelming.
maybe. I don't know.
But hey, Rage leaked. They got to figure something out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wonder.
Yeah, I wonder if that was their big reveal for the press conference.
Oops.
But also keep in mind that Elder Scrolls Online still exists, and in some ways
Vault Boys coming to Elder Scrolls.
there you go, makes them slightly less likely to produce a new single-player Elder Scrolls game,
right.
because it would undercut their, as I understand it, very successful online game. So if you take that IP out of the loop, this is where a lot of the Bethesda Game Studios is working on a new IP stuff started. Was A, from hearing that, and B, from the Elder Scrolls Online stuff happening and saying like, oh, well, they're not going to make an Elder Scrolls game for a pretty long time because this online game is happening. So there was a lot of new IP talk and that sort of stuff. But what if they just make another? What if they just really turn around and do Fallout fast?
What if it's a different, like maybe it's another tactical game? They bring it back to tactics.
Fallout Tactics,
like actual Fallout.
3, 2, 3, whatever.
They probably argue that they were still making them that way with the VATs and everything, but yeah, I see where you're going with that.
That'd be neat, but that's not. I don't know.
Also, like nothing
They're
against
putting out Van Buren.
Sure, they're dredging it up and finishing it. Like nothing against Fallout as a franchise or that studio or anything, but even if this was a brand new Fallout game, like I don't know if that's what I'm looking for out of them right now.
Sure, I'm looking for a tactics game.
That's the last thing they made. I don't know that I would necessarily just want
I-
another Fallout game from that studio.
Yeah.
I would take another Elder Scrolls game or a new IP over another Fallout right now.
Definitely.
But who knows?
You're not getting it because it's Vault Boy.
That's true. Yeah, we will see.
Yeah, you could speculate on this literally forever because who the fuck knows?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, this company is making Rage 2. They're clearly capable of fucking anything at this point.
Yeah. I mean, they've done some pretty wild, successful stuff over the last few years.
Totally.
The Doom reboot, the Wolfenstein reboot. Like people love, people love Prey.
Like critically successful. I don't know that that's stuff.
Oh yeah,
was,
yeah.
like,
I don't
burning up
necessarily-
sales charts,
yeah,
but whatever.
yeah.
That's
You know what? Honestly, if the BGS games continue to fund these weird side projects, whether they do super well themselves or not, totally fine with
yeah.
that.
I mean, as soon as they said, "Hey, Avalanche is developing Rage 2,"
Yeah. Like that's a
or
pairing.
as soon as I heard that, it was like, okay, now I'm actually interested in seeing this.
Like that's a pairing you wouldn't necessarily think of off the top of your head.
Yeah, if you're like, okay, Mad Max was like a framework that you could kind of do some stuff with, but maybe not capitalizing on it as well as it could have.
Yeah.
If you say, hey, fuck it, make it weird, put a boomerang thing in it.
Like Wolfenstein being what it is, and
Right.
what they did with Prey and what they did with Doom. Like they have come up with some stuff.
Yeah.
That is not what you expect, and I appreciate that.
Yeah, fuck, man. I remember going to that. They had an event in London. They took people to their London office, and that was where they said, here's Rogue Warrior and here's Wet.
Right.
And it was very much this thing of like them wanting to be known for more than just putting out Elder Scrolls games.
It's not been that long ago that Bethesda was a company that released one game every 3 years.
Exactly.
Or something. And that was it.
At the time, those games were not. There was a third game. I can't remember what it is. But it was Wet. It was Rogue Warrior.
Yeah.
And I feel like that they showed us.
It wasn't Hunted, that like medieval.
No, this was that happened before.
Okay.
Maybe the third game was actually Elder Scrolls related. Now that I think about it.
But yeah, Bethesda as a publisher of other games is still a relatively new thing.
Yeah, and at the time, it was like, oh well, I guess it makes sense to want to expand into this stuff. These games are not going to be the games to do that on.
Yeah.
I know some people kind of like Wet, Rogue Warrior.
I don't know anybody who likes that.
Mm-hmm.
But whatever, man. Like that, it got their feet wet in the game.
Yeah.
Of doing more and bigger things, and they only took it from there. So whatever, they've become a much bigger deal.
They've put out some fascinating games in the last 3-4 years.
Yeah, and they're really getting the most out of the id purchase. Like at the time,
crazy.
It seemed like kind of weird. You're like, oh, they're buying id. I guess I don't know. I like my id being weird PC weirdos doing weird PC stuff,
putting out the source code of their games and all this stuff, and they push back against all that stuff. Like they push back against what it used to be, but they've turned it into something else.
Well, they've managed to like put id and other studios in a place to make good modern versions of those games. Yeah, and that's like honestly better than I could have hoped for.
That is arguably more interesting than what it was before.
That said, I tried to play Quake Champions again yesterday, and it takes. Like I turned on, you start matching for a game and it asks you which modes you want to queue up for, and I said fuck it, queue up for all of them, and it was still like 3-4 minutes. And then as someone who didn't want to play the one mode I got matched into and unchecked that one, then suddenly it was like, all right, I'm going to wait a little while longer here and play it. And that thing's got 4 more layers of cosmetics than it did last time I tried it.
Okay.
It's still technically early access.
Have you tried that mode that strips out all the hero powers?
I don't think that's in yet.
Oh, is it not in yet?
Yeah.
Okay. I would give that a shot. I mean, I don't.
And I think they announced bots for that thing too. So
okay.
Hey, I'll play the bots. I don't care.
Yeah. I mean, I don't hate that game. Like, it's not bad. It's not nice. It's not badly made. It runs well. It's got the speed that you want.
It's hard to. I found it takes slightly too long to match into a game. I eventually did match into a death match, which is what I wanted, and it was just too long to wait. I looked at the Steam charts stuff, and it seemed like there were maybe around 1,000 people playing it at a given time, which seems like for a game that supports 8-ish players, that'd be plenty.
Yeah.
But it still was taking quite a long time.
Also, those 1,000 people play a lot of Quake Champions. So
yeah.
You may not have the best time if you only play with them.
I bet I could get into Quake 3 Arena and do better at that than I am at Quake Champions, weirdly enough.
Fully expect the same is true for me. Hey, you want to play some Quake 3?
Kind of.
We should play some Quake.
Let's play some Team Arena.
Let's not be hasty.
Let's download Quake 2.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Rocket Arena.
Not my first choice, but okay. All right.
Vault Boy transforms into a demon.
Okay.
All right. Camera pulls out a little bit more. Everything starts on fire. Suddenly we're in hell. It's Doom 2.
Fire's cool. All right.
Yeah.
I don't know. That feels maybe soon for that.
Yeah, I know.
From them
to
me. Yeah. But we'll see.
I'm trying.
All right. What if... Okay, Doom 2. It's Hell on Earth, right?
Yep.
Okay. Yep.
What if they just pick up where they left off with all of the marketing stuff they used for the last Wolfenstein game and said, you thought that game was about a hell on the earth? Well, what do you get a load of Doom 2? And just lean into that weird stuff even further.
Okay. I could see that. I don't know what I want out of a Doom 2.
You want to see the I mean, you want to see the story.
See that stuff play out. See Robot Dr. Satan.
Yeah. Mr. Dr. Satan.
Come to prominence. But I don't know, like the biblical Doomslayer stuff was amazing for one game, but by the end of that game, I'm like kind of over it.
Or
it was
like,
running out of
they
steam.
told the story.
Yeah.
You know, like
Yeah.
there's only
Yes.
you know like if they did more of that and it was just as well written, you'd be like, this is still great, but you know,
the surprise factor is gone at
Sure.
that point. And like that last mission of the game, they started taking it a little more seriously than I wanted. Like they started trying to build out some actual mythology behind the whole thing in a really
Yeah.
serious way, and I was like,
Yeah.
no. You had the right tone for 90% of this.
But the very end of that game and the sequel
But-
it sets up and the
Yeah.
face-off with Dr. Robot
Yeah.
Devil.
like the Spider Mastermind and
Yeah.
the ending of the game and all that stuff is perfect. Hell of a game. All right, emails.
Emails.
Bombcast@giantbomb.com. Jake from Maine writes in, with the recent bombardment of urine tests coming up in the email section, I thought I would share my experience.
Bombarded with piss.
I took this because it's from the other angle. While working as an intern in a probation department in New Hampshire, I became certified in collecting urine tests. The training mostly
Is that a
involved
certification you have to update every 5 years?
Imagine
Yeah.
that
What's
ceremony.
that graduation ceremony like?
Yeah.
Cool,
Yeah.
boy. Everybody sits in a urinal. It's weird.
It's a bunch of fountains.
Yeah.
The hazing ceremonies
Ooh,
are
boy.
a real nightmare.
Yikes.
I wonder what type of demos like the instructor would give for those then, huh?
Dry cleaning
Yep.
bills
Yeah.
are amazing. The training mostly involved observing the evidence being recorded properly and the chain of possession from time of collection to the state lab. If ever in doubt, we could make them drop their pants. If ever in extreme doubt, we could also test the sample across the hall immediately. I usually filled out the evidence tags ahead of time and made the person place the tag on themselves, then place it in the evidence cooler. Nothing ever went sideways with me. However, I bore witness to a bad day for a state police officer. We put in a call for a random visit, asking someone to come in. The state police had a warrant for their arrest and were waiting in a nearby office for them to arrive.
Oh, shit.
They came in, waited for their name to be called, and came through the office door. Once the door closed, the officers came around and arrested them. During a pat-down, they
man.
discovered a cigar tube in his pocket. When the officer flipped the tube upside down, piss poured out of it all over the officer's hand.
Why'd he tip it upside down?
Oh, gotta see what's in there. The officer was furious as he now needed to be checked out at a state hospital to make sure he hadn't caught anything. The man went to jail, and the officer managed to regain his composure while his partner struggled to hide a laugh.
Why'd he pour it all over himself?
Man, seemed like you'd be
Like,
a
what
little
do you think is in there?
more-
Oh, man.
Maybe be a little more careful.
Man, that's
Probably
rough,
just,
though.
you probably just assume it's sealed and that it's
Yeah.
a tight enough
Yeah.
seal, but it's a cigar tube, and those
Still.
probably aren't tight enough.
And probably not see-through either, right? You can't see what's in there.
I don't know.
Probably. Although you
It's a hell of a way to go.
hear it sloshing around a little bit. But
Dick in your hand, and all of a sudden the cops come in.
Ooh.
Oh, jeez.
yikes.
I wonder if they let him get that far. Probably not.
Probably not.
No.
Who knows?
That's like one of those things where they're like, "You want a prize? Come on in."
Yep.
And then the prize is you get to go to jail.
Sucker.
Thomas from Huntsville, Alabama. I was recently watching some old trailers and commercials and realized that those older games seem to have much better marketing campaigns than current titles. For example, I find it hard to see any game getting a Halo 3 Believe style promotional campaign these days. My question then is, what is your guys' favorite marketing campaign or commercial series for a game or system? I, for one, forgot just how great the Kevin Butler PlayStation ads were at being funny and pretty informative.
Those are pretty good. I love seeing those Smash Brothers dudes duke it out on TV. That was pretty funny.
Yeah.
That was
It's the
all
Mario
right.
3 ads. I liked.
Mario.
That
I
stuff.
barely remember
Mario.
those, but
Yeah, those are good
was it
too.
like to pull out to the earth with
Yep.
Mario's face on it? That was pretty good.
But that's like TV matters less
Sure. Yeah.
now. You know,
Yeah.
like the
I don't consume a lot of commercials. Like in
also
my,
right.
yeah.
Yeah. So now it's just more about bombardment, right? Or like building awareness by hitting you as many different places as possible in pre-roll videos.
Like
and all this
a
other
like a
stuff.
15-second YouTube pre-roll, not a lot of space to do anything creative.
Yeah. Well,
Right.
that's. I mean, sure. There's some stuff here and there. I'm sure,
Yeah.
but
That Bethesda live stream is just crazy.
well, it's
With the
stuff like
Vault
it's stuff
Boy?
like that now,
Yeah.
right? I mean,
Yeah.
that's how they
all like
build awareness and hype for a thing. is
Social
they,
media stunts
Yeah.
and stuff like that. I think it's more about the game than the campaign, really. But that all the Nothing Can Prepare You Mortal Kombat 2 stuff really got to me
Yeah.
in a major way. But
That stuff was good.
mostly because I just wanted the game desperately.
You were not ready.
Trying to think. I
It
mean,
was
there's,
not great.
there's so much embarrassing stuff from back then.
Yep.
As well.
Ratchet and Clank had a couple good ads.
Oh yeah.
Testing like the weapons
Oh,
out.
that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or like the fake, or like Ratchet in like a giant mascot pretending to be in the real world.
That's yep. I remember those.
Let's see.
They did the Crash Bandicoot stuff too, like
Oh,
Crash
yeah.
in the suit
Yeah.
out there being a jackass.
Pulling a WCW.
Yep.
I liked when they
Crash
brought.
Bandicoot rolling up on the Jeep.
Mm-hmm.
I liked when they brought Kevin Butler out at E3
Yeah.
as if he was the CEO. I thought that was a good way to close the loop on that thing, and I feel like that kind of like they sort of retired that campaign after that, didn't they? Like that, they could have run that guy into the ground, but I felt like they kind of.
I seem to remember there being a reason like that he went and did some other ads, and it was a reason for them to go like, oh, well, we're not using this guy anymore.
Oh, interesting.
And they showed him some other stuff. I can't remember what the actual
It's
end
for
of that
tires or something.
campaign was.
Yeah.
Or why it ended, but I seem to remember being something
Yeah,
that
I
that actor.
I think you're right. Was he like effectively playing the same part in all but name or something? Just like
Maybe that's
trying
what
to capitalize
it was.
on that.
Maybe that's what it was.
Yeah, I could see that.
It was like he was there, and then he was like, "Can you hear me now?" Now.
Yeah, that was still a good stunt.
Hmm.
Eric, fuck that guy that said Arnold Schwarzenegger being known for Jingle All the Way is a bad thing. It's a Christmas classic and probably the best Christmas movie of all time. It even has Sinbad.
Does it?
If that's your mark for a great Christmas movie, then you can't go wrong with Jingle All the Way.
Yeah, I guess.
It even has Sinbad.
Sinbad up to these days.
Shopping his Jingle All the Way 2 script that is about his character.
Let's see. Brett from Silver Spring, Maryland. I have a hypothetical for you. This is about our Spelunky 2 discussion. Suppose you were able to be on a podcast discussing a planned sequel to Super Mario Brothers back in the 1980s. Would you be equally skeptical of the idea, given the impact of the beloved original? What if Spelunky 2 turns out to be the Super Mario Brothers 2 of a long-running series of spectacular platformers?
Like the Dark Horse different game that
I guess
no
so,
one...
yeah. I felt that you were being uncharacteristically precious about the first game last week. Awesome as it may be, there are plenty of new, preferably weird places a sequel could go. I don't think anybody was opposed to it going in a weird direction. I feel like we're just sort of speculating about what if it is just more of that. I don't know. I don't think anybody was against the idea of Spelunky 2 getting weird.
I think it should.
Yeah.
Probably.
In fact, I would absolutely prefer that to, like, what was it? I think Ben was saying,
Spelunky
like, just
2 :
4 more worlds.
Spelunky.
Like 4 more worlds, one
Deeper
more secret
dungeons.
world. Yeah, like if it's just that template again, like that's not super interesting.
Also, speculating about sequels to games now is very different than it would be if you were doing it in 87.
Yeah, for sure. I've been thinking about Mario 2 and Zelda 2 a lot recently and how fucking different both of those games were from the first game.
Extremely, yeah.
Like, who does that now? Like, they're totally different games. Well, I mean, they're both platformers. They're both side-scrollers. But, like, the mechanics completely different.
Mortal Kombat.
Yeah, okay. From, like, 1 through 4, and then the 3D fighters, the weapon fighters.
5 through
Yeah,
7,
okay.
and then
Yeah, sure.
8 through
Yeah.
10.
I think it's Zelda to Zelda
The
2.
3
for
eras
me.
of Mortal Kombat.
Sure. Like Zelda 2, though, going to the weird format that it did.
Yeah.
From the first one, I feel like is the big one to me. That's just this crazy outlier.
Was
It
that
must be-
Zelda always supposed to be a Zelda?
Think so.
Yeah.
I think so.
I believe it was.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
don't think it was ever anything else the way that Mario was.
I'm sure there must be interviews out there talking about like why they felt the need to change it up so dramatically.
Yeah.
Right.
If it was a case of just like, well, you know, the tech had progressed in a way that we were like, oh, we can actually do this world this way.
Yeah.
Or what? But
Also, on a side note, I dug up the Famicom Disk System soundtracks to those games this weekend.
Yeah.
Fucking mind-blowing.
totally, right?
Hearing the Zelda theme with all this extra instrumentation on
Yep.
it was just like my brain was being twisted.
Especially when you start to think it through as like this is how they originally intended for
like
it
that's
to
the
sound,
that's the actual
and-
original version of that song, and
Yeah.
then it had to be kind of like simplified to work
Yeah.
on the cartridge system.
I'd like to hear that.
Like hearing like instruments that would have to cut out, I guess, because they didn't have enough channels in the one that you're familiar with. Like
Yeah.
hearing all those things blending together, and
Mhm.
like it was so much more multi-layered. If you could find that stuff, it's a real weird trip if you've never heard it before. Let's see. Andy from Scotland. Giant Bomb Infinite has been up and running for a little while now, and I was just wondering if you guys had spotted any early viewing trends as yet. Do certain types of content perform better than others? Is there a time of day at which you see a particularly large uptick or downturn in viewership? And do you guys ever tune in yourselves to watch? If so, has there been anything you've watched and thought, oh God, what were we thinking?
We're going to hold on to that data until we absolutely need
It's
it.
proprietary information.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I don't know. Do you know what the stat tracking is like on that?
No.
I don't know if there is any.
Yeah, no,
Will's probably doing something.
Yeah, they may be expanding it since it's been
Sneaky.
pretty popular.
Well, now
but-
that we're on Twitch, we also would be wired into Twitch's analytics, so we could probably
I
get
suppose,
some of that stuff that way.
Sure. I
I
mean, it did start as kind of a bootstrapped, like, Skunkworks project right off to the side, so I don't know that, like, analytics were built in from the get-go, but...
it was never the intent. No.
Will showed me some pretty wild shit last week.
Yeah.
That we have to figure out what to do with it, but it's cool.
Yeah.
Loosely related to the Infinite stuff. Yeah.
I'll pop in there like once or twice a week.
Yeah.
I don't always join in the chat, but
We'll
it's
pop
kinda
up
fun,
on the
fun to-
stream every once in a while.
Sometimes it is fun to just go in there and talk to people, though.
Yeah.
Like, regardless of what is playing.
Yeah, I think the trends we saw are around features that we kind of implemented and changed and stuff like that,
Yeah.
where the minute that we rolled out, if a video is part of a series, the next video in said series will always be part of a poll. Seemed like a fantastic idea on paper. You're like, of course, you would want people to have the option to vote for the next episode in a thing so that they can stick with a thing if they want. And then suddenly that led to, for the next 3 days, it's going to be this one video series. Which then, if you like the kind of random nature of like, hey, if I tune in, I never know what I'm going to see, it robs it of that completely.
Yeah.
In a way that suddenly it was like, I don't want to watch this. And it was the thing so far in the short lifespan of this thing. That feature was the thing that generated the most feedback in terms of people going like, hey, this is not the way. But I think by the point we started getting that feedback, I was already like, yeah, this was a fantastic idea on paper that like watching it in execution, like maybe there's a way to kind of split the difference. I've got a few ideas in mind about changes to voting and stuff like that that I think would help or would allow for something similar without it being as much of a given. But yeah, it's been really fun doing that thing.
Yeah, the thing is fun.
Doing those bumpers has been super cool. I wish I had time to just sit there and just make like 100 more of them. I want to do that.
Devote a day to nothing but bumpers.
Yeah,
that'd be good.
Bumper day.
Just
Bumper
rapid fire, just
Yeah.
as fast as you can think of them.
Let's not go to anything at E3. Let's just make bumpers all day.
No, that's the thing. All our bumpers are going to be shot at E3.
Perfect.
You're just going to walk around and jam cameras in people's faces and say your name, who you work for, and you're watching Giant Bomb Infinite. And then
Done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we're just going to put all those up.
I'll get a
Slap
portable
the logo
green
on the
screen.
last 3 seconds of it, and boom.
Fantastic.
All right, Barry from Southport. In the UK, thanks to a ban on the sale of e-drinks like Red Bull and Monster to people under 16, buying e-drinks now requires proof of identity, such as a passport or driver's license.
Wow.
If you look under 25. As big e-drinkers with youthful good looks.
E-drinks. I don't think I've
That's
ever
not what we
heard
call
the
them.
term
Yeah, I don't
e-drinks. It sounds like a Mega Man item.
They say a lot of weird stuff over there. As big e-drinkers with youthful good looks, what are your thoughts? Is this a dangerous precedent?
Back the lorry up to my flat and unload the e-drinks.
Stack up the pram with the in the boot.
Let them have their damn e-drinks, man.
We had to pour the e-drinks into the harbor to make sure that we were properly represented, and I recommend you do the same.
Yeah.
No energyation without representation.
Yep.
Ben from Indianapolis. Why haven't we seen a Mario wrestling game?
As Mario was
Tennis. No, they don't wrestle. Mario Striker. No, they don't
I guess
wrestle on that one.
I guess that could totally fit into that Mario Sports line, right?
Yeah.
I feel like there's something like if they had done that on the NES or the SNES or something years ago, I think you could have gotten away with it. I think graphics now are too good in a way where like Mario doing wrestling holds to Luigi or Waluigi would look a little too fucked up.
Sure.
You'd be like, dude, Mario, don't fucking do that.
I could see that.
It's like Toad doing a fucking blade job and coming up like, Toad got color.
Sure. Yeah.
As a side game in like a Mario Party, sure.
Wario doesn't make the towns, man. He's too big for it, brother.
Yeah.
Also, they would have to put Starman in it. I don't think that's going to happen.
Yes.
What if it was Mario in a Starman outfit?
Okay, now we're talking. Now we're talking. Was that game good?
Yeah,
For wrestling actually good?
I
time,
don't
it
much
was
care for
just fine.
I remember liking it quite a bit, but I don't actually know if it was a good game.
I never really got good enough at it. I rented it a couple times and never had the instructions, so like large parts of it just never made sense.
Sometimes, they would print the instructions on the inside of the case. That's all that I had.
Yeah,
sometimes.
man, I love those like ragged old photocopied instruction manuals you would get from the video store.
That was a big lawsuit.
Was it?
Yeah, Nintendo and like sued over.
God damn it, Nintendo!
Over photocopies of manuals. It's why a cottage industry of small companies that could print instructions that were on stickers on one sheets that you would stick to the case that the game came in at the rental store. It's why that exists.
Oh wow!
Because lawsuits.
Weird. Dominic in Columbus, Ohio. Is Dreams basically Mario Maker, a robust tool set where the joy is meant to come from creation and sharing? Not being reductive, but that seems to be the basic idea I've taken from pre-release presentations and some post-Judges Week internet discussion.
I mean, it's an expanded Little Big Planet, which is similar in nature to Mario Maker, sure. Mario Maker is obviously way more focused, you know?
Oh, sure. It's about making platforming Mario levels.
Right.
Sounds like this thing is a lot
Whereas
more
like using the tool set to its fullest degree in Little Big Planet got you things that were not just Little Big Planet levels.
Right. It sounds like this thing caters to that impulse even more.
Exactly.
Also, it sounds like this has more of a single-player component than Mario Maker did.
A
developed one. I mean, you could do the 100 Marios or whatever.
Right.
As a campaign, but that was still
there were preset levels in Mario Maker that you played,
sure.
offline if you chose. That did exist.
Yeah.
Mario Maker I think is more manageable because the possibility space is very limited in comparison to something like Little Big Planet and of course Dreams.
Yeah.
Where you kind of inherently know what Mario is capable of. They do play around with that with some of the items and some of the way the items interact and stuff. Like it's not just straight up out the gate 30-year-old Mario stuff. Like they play around, but that's why I was able to make Mario Maker levels that I felt were pretty okay.
Sure.
Is because it was a tile-based like tool set that you kind of inherently understand as a player of Mario, and you know what you're working with. You know what all this shit does.
There's a kind of a built-in language.
Exactly.
Common design language.
Like Little Big Planet was trying to teach you its new language at the same time you were playing it, and either you got into that or you didn't. And then Dreams is even more out there. But at the same time, I think they've made the tools approachable in Dreams from what I've seen of it. So we'll see. The thing with Dreams is that you will have to come up with the whole idea yourself.
Right.
Whereas, well, they'll have tutorials and all the other stuff that you can remix. But like, I mostly mean like Dreams is a canvas. Mario Maker lets you make Mario levels. Yeah. It's,
Mario Maker almost kind of like a player piano in a way. Like it's capable of doing one thing, and you just kind of design what it does.
There are
in
literal
that context.
player piano levels that people made.
Right.
Play a little music.
Whereas like Dreams almost sounds more like a visual scripting kind of interface and stuff like that. Yeah. Sounds fascinating. I'm curious to see what people do with it. Speaking of 30-year-old Mario, Daniel writes in, were the non-WarioWare Wario games any good? I've never played the Wario Lands or Wario World, but it seems like out of all the dead Nintendo franchises, the Wario games are the only ones people aren't asking to come back.
So Lost Woods?
I don't know.
Is that one of them?
Wario's Woods.
Wario Woods. Okay.
Yeah.
Would you want
Wario Land?
Would you want a Super Wario Odyssey?
Hell yeah.
Presumably where Wario blows up the moon to get a secret cache of moon gold and dooms the Mushroom Kingdom to 1,000 years of
right up until he said Super Wario Odyssey, I was like, no, of course not. And now I'm like, actually, yes.
It feels like there's a whole line of those that I have no awareness of.
Yeah,
like,
same.
Where did they start on the Game Boy?
Yeah.
Yep. Okay.
Yeah, those were all handheld games. But
then there was like a 3D platformer on the GameCube, right?
Yes.
Right.
That I never even heard of until years later. Like it feels like they've been cranking out Wario games that just didn't
fly under the radar. And
I think they were well liked. I never got super into any of the Wario Land stuff.
What was the 3D one?
I forget what that one was called,
I
but
need to
it
look
had
that up.
you shook a bag of money to get more gold.
Okay.
Is that the GameCube one?
Yes.
Is that Wario World? That is Wario World.
Wario World, right.
Yeah.
Okay. 3D like
I remember
Mario 64 3D?
Oh, wow,
or
that was made by Treasure.
Or more platforming, like a 2.5D kind of.
A little bit more platforming.
How do I not remember this?
I would have to go back and play it. I remember not caring for Wario World all that much. I don't know what the consensus was on it. I remember not being super into it.
I want to play it now.
But those side-scrolling platformers for Game Boy were fine.
They seemed alright. Yeah.
It was, more
At a
about
time
it was
when-
more about the shoulder charge.
Yeah.
At a time when a lot of side-scrolling platformers were being made.
Yeah.
So
The Game Boy Advance ones got really crazy with each iteration.
Yeah, maybe that's where they got actually good. Was
Yeah.
those GBA games.
Like they introduced a mechanic where you had to like get to the end of the level, start a timer, then run all the way back.
Right.
And like I think one before that, it's just kind of like Kirby stealing enemies' abilities and stuff.
As a Wario do.
Stealing.
Mm-hmm.
they should make another WarioWare for Switch.
Right.
Thing's got a lot of inputs. Even setting like Labo aside, just
Yeah.
touchscreen, motion, all kinds of stuff.
Yep.
Jeff from Rochester, New York. How many NDAs have you signed or agreed to over the course of your career? Have you ever broken one? What have been some of the consequences of others in the industry breaking them?
If I've broken one, I almost did. Just like letting a video release before.
Yeah, like unintentionally publishing something before you're supposed to.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Shit happens.
Yeah.
And generally speaking, well, there are different things, right? There's, oh shit, due to errors, both technical and human, this thing got revealed before it was supposed to be revealed.
Yeah.
And then there's maliciously saying, fuck you, we're putting this up.
Yeah.
I've never been part of the latter.
Yeah, same.
I shouldn't. Okay. Well, even then, there's some conditions around it, I would say. But anyway, generally speaking, that's a stern phone call at most. Or it's like hey, this thing went up. What the fuck?
Yeah.
And you're like, fuck.
Yeah.
Shit. We agreed to not do this. I'm looking at it right here. It got done. That's no good.
Yeah.
We're going to pull it down. We're sorry.
It's probably going to be damaging to the relationship, but
Yeah.
they're not going to like immediately file suit.
No, yeah.
Or something like
in
that.
terms of like, are they going to trust you next time around when they do something similar?
That's
Maybe not.
really what it's about, I think.
And for whatever that's worth.
Yeah. Certain companies still, like everything they do, will send you a PDF of an NDA and say, hey, please print and sign and send this back.
In a way
Before
that's like,
we will do whatever like very
It's far more rare now.
like
but
routine thing they want to do, like
Yeah.
send you a review code or something. Yeah, it's not often. but-
I signed probably 8 of them or something a couple weeks ago.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, well,
Oh,
yeah,
wow.
yeah,
Well, yeah,
at
at
events,
events.
Yes, at events.
Or if you go to like their office or something. Yeah.
like the
But-
majority of events you go to, they'll ask you to sign as soon as you walk in the door.
But like getting review code for an upcoming game.
Yeah.
I don't sign a ton or see a ton of those.
No, definitely not.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's more like that's kind of the handshake agreement of
Embargo stuff.
hey, by responding to this email
Yeah.
and redeeming this code, you're agreeing to this.
Yeah.
You're like, all right, whatever.
A lot of it is more kind of streamlined these days.
There have also been cases, and this is something I think we pushed on, and we kind of the response to someone else breaking an NDA is sort of the weird gray area middle ground where it's like, what do you actually do in that situation? I know, I believe Kotaku got to a point where they don't accept any NDAs, right? They're kind of like, no, because if we hear about it, we're running it.
Yeah.
And usually their sources are better. That's the thing. If you play that news game all the way, chances are you've got sources that are going to tell you the stuff outside of the traditional NDA loop.
Right.
So you have cases where Kotaku's running a story based on stuff they heard that you are under NDA about.
Right.
And what do you do then?
Yeah.
Because they're running it as our sources indicate, not as an official thing.
Right.
So you coming out and saying, yes, this is all true, is actually still breaking the NDA because you're confirming it and you're advancing the story. So there has been cases where some of us on staff, this is years ago, this is not a Giant Bomb thing because it's just not, we just don't really engage in that type of preview coverage anymore and all that sort of stuff. It just doesn't happen. But there would be cases where we had signed an NDA about some stuff and then deliberately not told the news team because they needed to have some kind of
Deniability.
room to do their job.
Yeah.
Sure.
And so they would find information and run it. And in those cases, you'd kind of tell the publisher just as a friendly, like, hey, by the way, this is running because our news team found it out.
That's tricky. Wow.
And yeah, like where do you draw the line on that stuff? If someone else just straight up breaks the embargo, not a Kotaku situation where they've got sources, but if someone fucks up and breaks the embargo, or just deliberately says "fuck this, fuck you," we're running it.
Like somebody else who agreed to the same thing you
exactly.
did.
Yes.
If
Someone
they
else who
violate.
agreed to the same thing you did violates the embargo.
Yeah.
Do you say, well, screw it, we're out here also because now they've got a competitive advantage because they're the only ones who broke it, so now they're the only ones with this thing up. And again, this is something where we're not playing that competitive game anymore, and we don't have to care about it, which is nice. But back in the day, it was very much like like you're kind of alerting companies like, if this NDA is broken by anyone else, we are running what we have.
Yeah.
And you need to know that up front.
Whole lot of political wheeling and dealing type stuff back then.
Yeah, and I get the impression that some of that stuff still happens.
Yeah.
Though I wonder, I feel like we were at a point where we were of a size that we could say things like, if this leaks, we're running it. And there were not meaningful repercussions on that. Everyone understood, and it was okay. Yeah. I feel like where the press is at these days, when you think about it, Bethesda's running their own stream with their own please stand by.
Yeah.
They're not partnering with some publication. They may tell a publication later on to pre-brief them on what the announcement is, but they will run their own announcement.
Yep.
And that's the thing that is different, and the power has thus shifted on the preview stuff way further in favor of the publishers. Right. They run trailers on their own YouTube channel. They run their own show. The fans go there. And the press has been cut out of the loop on some of that preview stuff.
Also, the NDA feels like borderline meaningless in the age of YouTube. Like, I don't know how many times I've seen people complaining on Twitter about like influencers getting footage of a game at an event and just posting it.
Right.
Like when they were explicitly told not to, and then it's on YouTube 2 hours later.
You end up with a case like that where you have, and
there's some footage of some prominent games floating around recently.
Yeah.
That was very much not supposed to be out there.
And
my understanding.
That's the sort of stuff where, you have people who don't give a shit, and are just kind of like, we're going to run this stuff, and they don't really care. And that's a way to go. My understanding is that it's led to some publishers not wanting to work with that type of YouTuber or that some specific people, but also like a class of YouTube creators, and being like, oh, it's just too risky for us to do it. And I don't know how to feel about that. On one hand, like that says bad things about the relationship between publishers and the media in some ways, because like the media shouldn't be the safe thing to do.
Sure.
The media is the professional thing to do because it's a business. We keep the lights on. There's stuff. And so it's not a rogue operation in that sense, but I feel like that's, well, whatever. I feel like we're attacking that from a few different ways in terms of like, we don't really do the preview coverage stuff because it doesn't really, they run it on their own stuff. If you want to see it, you can go there. We know that our audience is not coming to us for 100% of all video game stuff, and we don't expect that. So like that stuff has changed. So we don't have to sign NDAs. We don't have to be in the loop on every single little preview thing that comes out.
Yeah.
And we hear about things here and there, and there have been cases in the past where we've run them down and multi-sourced them the way you do with proper news, and broken some stories here and there. But even that's not necessarily like our day-to-day.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. A lot of bread and butter.
Yeah. It's nice to not have to spend a bunch of time thinking about that shit anymore.
Yeah.
Because it was just a pain in the ass.
Yes. It was very time consuming.
A time consuming pain in the ass.
Yeah. And just like annoying, hard decisions having to be made, and like, sometimes people having to put their feet down about things.
It's just,
it's a hassle.
Yes. It's a hassle to be a part of a machine.
Yes.
it's like,
basically,
it's like, hey, let's stay awake super late and get this ready for this embargo time because we agreed to this thing and all this, and we're going to run the same thing with the same 4 screenshots with our slightly different take, based on like, and I think, whatever. I think that stuff makes sense for reviews and that type of coverage. But when it comes to previews and announcements and all the other stuff, like I just can't. Yep. It's just so not worth it.
Yep.
I'm with you.
Yep.
I don't miss that.
Nope.
The only time I feel like it's worth it is around this time of year
Yeah.
because so much happens at E3 that being able to see a handful of those things early
Yes.
and then not have to go see them at the show is valuable. And
To such a small team.
right.
Yeah,
Totally.
Yeah.
Being able to knock out a handful of things and knowing like, oh, well, we saw this company's lineup already.
Yeah.
That's a company we don't necessarily have to see at the show. We will cover it on the podcast before the show.
That's an interesting effect of EA moving up to Saturday now, and so now the industry knows everybody's in town from like say Friday night on.
Man.
It's like I booked an appointment for Saturday night to go see. Granted, it's a company that I would gladly make time to see.
Sure.
But like now we're taking like hotel meetings throughout the weekend before E3 actually starts because they know we're going to be there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it is nice to because like
This is how this show's going to go. This is
Yeah.
how E3 is going to. If E3 is going to keep doing what it's doing, the whole show is eventually. I feel. Well, whatever. I guess I shouldn't say with such certainty, but my take on how this is going to happen is you will start to see this happen a lot more like Comic-Con, where Comic-Con has its preview night, but instead it will be here's your preview 2 days with a couple of days of hotel appointments before that, and by the time they're letting the public into E3, everyone is gone.
Okay.
Everyone has left.
Yeah, maybe.
Because they will have gotten all the news out.
for everybody that's there to
everyone
do
that's
work.
there to do work, everyone that's like press and handling those types of things, retailers,
Retailers,
meetings, and all
anybody
that
that's
sort of
there,
stuff.
yeah.
Doesn't
That will
TGS
have,
kind of work that way too? Or?
yeah.
Okay.
Except TGS is it's got its industry days and its
Yeah,
public days. Now this year they're doing 3 hours of industry only on the floor.
Yeah, that's not enough time.
It's not enough. It's like that's not valuable enough. Or that is very valuable time, but that's not enough time to actually.
In some
do what you need to
cases,
do.
that's actually led to companies saying, "Yeah, we can only book you in that 3 hour window for a press appointment."
Yeah.
as opposed to all day.
And you're like,
it's
what?
actually
That's not okay.
Yeah.
Well,
So
uh,
it makes things
okay.
weird. I actually skipped over this email, but now I'm going to read it because we're talking about it. This was from Jacob. E3 will have exclusive Funko Pops. Is it already too late to turn E3 into something good? Is exclusive merch from companies
the
people
merch
care
was
about?
so
Yeah.
awesome last
Yeah,
year.
right. Is exclusive merch from companies people care about a sign that they are trying for the fans?
Yeah,
Yeah, totally.
absolutely.
Yeah.
This
Well,
is
I
what that
Guess
should
I,
seem like.
I should have seen this coming.
It seems like that the direction they were going is making it more of a public event.
Yeah, I mean, but it's a public event that they're charging like $250 for a ticket to.
Yeah. Well, I
and
mean, what is PAX? Like, does that track with like a 3-day PAX pass?
I think PAX is. I was going to say it's like $90. Well, so PAX doesn't actually sell multi-day
that's right.
passes
They
anymore.
stopped doing that. Right.
So maybe it is comparable if you try to get all 4 days.
I think it was like
but,
$50 a day or something like that.
yeah. So maybe that's not
So,
too far off
yeah.
ultimately.
Still a lot of money.
Okay, what are they?
Yeah.
though?
I'm right here on Funko.com. There appears to be a Sonic the Hedgehog related thing.
Yes.
Why am I interested in this?
Super Shadow. Shadow the Hedgehog has harnessed the power of the 7 Chaos Emeralds.
What?
Available only at E3.
The Chaos Emeralds are only available at E3?
I guess so, yeah.
Oh, that
There's
8-bit Mega Man looks.
8-bit Mega Man.
Maybe they'll do a Kenny Omega as Cody.
Oh, we forgot to talk about that. Did you watch that?
Yeah.
Oh, that was pretty good.
It's a good trailer.
Let's see. Master Chief.
Voice on the phone, very familiar.
Master Chief with
I'm not
active
sure who
camo,
it is.
which means it's just clear plastic. Well, they made a King Dice Funko Pop.
Yeah.
That's kind of cool.
I have
Oh, there's 2 Cuphead ones.
I have some other Funko.
I could see a Cuphead
ones.
Funko Pop actually looking okay because of the art style of
Yeah.
Cuphead.
Yeah.
They have 2 different
Like
variants of that. Like they have the traditional with the super big head and like the blank eyes, but then they've got another set which is a little more closer to the
Okay.
in-game art. I've got that.
I just
set.
everything about Funko Pops
Yeah.
and the Funko style, like it's such fucking shit.
I
man.
have a few. But it's those dead
They're so
eyes
terrible.
that really
Like you're
really
they're
gets
like,
me.
You're right. These
Goddamn worst,
these Cuphead
man.
ones actually just sort of look like
They just look like Cuphead
merch,
characters.
which
That's
is kind
okay.
of kind of
Yeah.
cool, actually.
They're so ugly. They are just so awful, and they're for everything. It's like, hey, do you want like a generic piece of shit that looks vaguely like a thing you like? We got you fucking covered. It's John Cena. I don't know. It's Spider-Man. What the fuck do you want?
They make Cena?
Yeah, there's a
Oh,
ton of wrestling
fuck
ones.
yes.
There's a ton of wrestling ones.
Okay.
I can't think of a license that they have not covered.
GameStop is currently taking pre-orders for the Kenny Omega Funko Pop.
Oh, really?
But however it's entered into their system, it says WWE Kenny Omega. Oops. Like, all right, perfect.
Dumbass.
Nailed it.
I have no
I don't want to
problem-
remember Kenny Omega that way. I don't want him in my house looking that way. No.
You could make a really good, realistic Kenny Omega figure, though, that would probably be pretty fucking badass.
Yeah, I'd buy that.
I have no problem with E3 going that way if that's how it turns out. That kind of sounds better for everybody.
I think it
business people who are doing business get their stuff out of the way early. People who are there to have fun at E3, like the show is more devoted to them.
Totally. I think, and that's the thing I really want to know this year is like how does it do a better job of like putting on a good show for people who bought those tickets.
That's
they're
the thing.
expensive tickets.
That's
it should be a good time.
It has to be actually delivering to people who are paying for the tickets.
It seemed like a lot of the people who went last year just waited in the line all day, which I guess that's kind of the PAX experience too. But like, it seems like this should be better.
Yeah.
If you're going to charge that kind of money and then let the people into E3, the people should be able to play an assortment of games and have like good experiences there. And the experience of waiting in line and then paying too much for a pretzel somewhere just doesn't seem like it's worth the money anymore.
Yeah.
And I'm sure some people are like, whatever, I got to see this one game I care about, so I'm cool. There were definitely people that enjoyed themselves at E3 last year, but it just seems like it could go so much further than it did last year. So I want to see how much further they get this year as they continue to evolve it, right?
Yeah.
So.
Exclusives are one way.
Yeah.
I get super excited about like Comic-Con exclusives and shit like that, but not about Funko Pop figures. They need more stuff.
What if it would Shadow the Hedgehog?
Oh, maybe.
I know what I'm doing first day.
Some of them are limited, like one of the Cuphead ones is they're like 1,500 units or something.
Yeah.
All right, that's it for emails. Thanks to everybody who wrote in bombcast@giantbomb.com.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. What's our truck schedule looking like? I think we're breaking stuff down this week.
Yeah,
right?
Thursday and Friday we're breaking stuff down.
Okay.
We're still going to try and do some sort of UPF.
Yeah.
So we're going to try and not touch anything that's going on in here,
Okay.
right? So we might be able to rig something up to do UPF in here.
Yeah. Okay.
But other than that, yeah, Jen and I are going to be like,
studio
hard-
stuff.
yeah, studio stuff.
Will be coming apart.
Yeah, stay there.
Load it on the truck.
Yeah.
Monday morning is when we load that stuff up.
Yeah.
So, like I said, we'll try and rig up some stuff to maybe do quick looks, but I don't think there's much coming out.
We'll
next
figure
week.
out something.
Yeah.
If the
Do streams or
studio
whatever.
PC is still hooked up in there, we could run OBS on that thing
Yeah,
and figure
there's
something out.
definitely console
We'll
stream.
sit in front of the Infinite computer and turn on the webcam
There you
and figure
go.
something out.
Okay, hook a camera up to a PS4.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll try and make shit happen.
We'll get iToy
Yeah,
or
there you go.
the Playroom
Yeah,
VR.
there
We'll
you
get
go.
Playroom up and running. Get your guitar out.
Yeah, all right.
Oh yeah.
Let's put that neon sign up on the wall.
Yeah.
And obviously, the New York crew will be there all week.
Yep.
Doing their thing. They won't be traveling until next week, so some aspects of the website still operating at capacity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then Jan's out Wednesday, and I'm taking off on Thursday.
Yeah.
That sounds about right. So
Yeah.
you guys are gonna have the run of the place.
Yeah.
Damn.
Fucking A,
Be a
man.
ghost town around here for a couple
Yeah.
days. Of course, I think we'll all be down there by next Friday.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
crazy times ahead. Looking forward to it.
Oh.
Yeah.
I got there's some stuff I got to do.
Yeah,
Yep.
same. For
Yeah.
sure. Plenty of stuff
Yeah.
to get done before
Mhm.
then. All right. Well,
Ben is out handling some business,
Yeah.
and so we will not be doing an after show
no
this
after
week.
show today.
But
Yeah.
but
I was gonna say I can't do it. I can't run it for you.
Okay.
Too
Well,
much to do.
let's go get to some of that stuff.
All right.
Time's of the essence. Thanks for listening. This has been
Welcome.
the Giant Bombcast. We'll see you back here next week.